What up, YouTube? It's Zeno. We live right now. We about to tap in with the Dragon Ball Super manga, the entire Resurrected Gods of Destruction art right now. I'm popping popcorn, so yeah.
Culmination of not only the strongest gods of destruction having to do battle against one another, but by also having to witness a spectacle that'll surely change our hero's perception on both power and possibilities forever.
As our story now continues, following the initial battle involving Universe 18's God of Destruction Primos having to go head-to-head against Master Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, to which it was only upon with the newly created Gods of Destruction that hail from Universe 19, Tigron, and Universe 20, Ligor, having to appear and speaking with our heroes, was when Broly went on to address Ligor by responding, "Your intervention in my battle with Lord Primos wasn't something that I was anticipating, for I was prepared to see this battle through until the very end, but since both you and Lord Tigron had decided to step in, my question is why?" Broly asks. "What exactly was it about Universe 7's recent growth that has caught your attention?" Broly continues. "For you also went on to mention on how you wanted to address our power, but what exactly is it that you find so concerning or intriguing about our recent growth that made you want to come here?" With Ligor responding, "Well, I have went on to intervene in this battle, not out of disrespect for your strength, but because there are matters that are far more pressing that I would like to speak to you all about," Ligor says. "For you see, Lord Tigron and I have chosen this moment to reveal ourselves in order to further counsel you and your companions about something after having to learn more about it, for the multiverse is beginning to shift in ways that requires more than just mere strength to navigate, but it rather goes on to demand for both your cooperation and for your understanding to do so, as such events that have been told to us requires for us to know on which universes will be our friends and which universes will be our foes, Broly. But before I go into any further details about what my angel had informed us about," Ligor continues, "I must go and know something before I tell you. Do you believe that you fight on the side of protecting life, or are you someone who fights on the side of destroying it for your own personal gain?" With Broly responding, "Well, at my core, I try to avoid conflict for as much as I can in order to avoid hurting anyone, but I never found myself wanting to fight for the sake of aimlessly hurting others, and so I try to go and follow what both Kakarot and Vegeta have taught me and only fight when I need to, and if it means protecting the ones who matter to me the most." With Ligor responding, "Interesting, then if your allies are the ones who have instilled these principles within you, then your universe may in fact be an ally after all." As Goku then went on to suddenly cut in by shouting, "Hey there, Lord Ligor, we weren't expecting to run into both you and Lord Tigron so soon like this, but what exactly brings you guys all the way out here like this?" As Ligor went on to then redirect his attention back to Broly by then responding, "Listen, while the events of whatever it is to come in the near future are unknown, just know that if you and your allies are able to fight on the side of preserving life, then you are no enemies in my eyes or within the eyes of Lord Tigron," Ligor says. "For there might come a day where both you and your allies are needed, but for now, just know that there is something coming, and although we are not quite sure on whether this involves another event that was similar to that of your previous so-called Tournament of Power to be held again, or if this just so happens to involve new universes along with new gods of destruction to be created or not, understand that if we need you, then we will call for you, especially if your intentions are in good faith," Ligor says. To which it was only all the while in the meantime back down within the crater down below as Tigron was shown having to help Primos up, was when Tigron went on to address Primos by responding, "You were far too boastful when you should have taken the opportunity that was presented to go and use your full power against the mortal prior to his evolution, but even after evolving," Tigron says, "you still went and decided to go and fight with your ego and not with your honor, which is why you have lost. Now stand up, Destroyer, for this battle between you and the Saiyan is hereby over, and so don't go and try anything funny while I'm here to help you, or else you will face severe severe consequences. But Primos, on the other hand, was not having it, because despite with Primos being shown having to pull his arm away and addressing Tigron, was when Primos then went on to quickly respond, "And just who are you to go and make such idle threats to me, you arrogant rookie? Now get your filthy hands off of me. Who are you to judge my primal power when I was on the cusp of continuing my battle against the mortal Primos questions? Unless you know your place on the food chain, Destroyer, because I will not allow for you to ever go and talk to me like that ever again. Are you listening to me? Don't you ever go and turn your back to me and walk away while I'm addressing you, God of Destruction." With Tigron responding, "Now let this go and be your first and last warning, Destroyer, for while it is forbidden for us to engage without the approval of the Grand Minister, understand that if the day ever comes where we do face off, I am going to make you regret those words personally." With Primos responding, "Why you? Is that so, God of Destruction? Well, the hell with our restrictions, and let us go and find out then right now." But then, it was only fortunately enough with Primos' angel Rumi being shown having to stick her staff out and stopping Primos was when Rumi went on to then quickly respond, "No, Lord Primos, for it wouldn't be wise for you to go and engage against these gods of destruction or any other without it first being approved by the Grand Minister in order to avoid any further repercussions. And so because of this, let them go for now, Lord Primos, as their time will come and you will have your moment, but for now, let us go and stand down for the time being." Well, now since our business here is finally over and done with, Whis went on to then heal Broly, Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan by quickly having to chime in. And I think it's time that we all go back and return into our universe, for there is much that needs to be discussed the moment we are to touch back onto Lord Beerus's homeworld. To which it was only then suddenly within that moment as Ligor's angel Jindro went on to then spawn a portal behind Ligor was when Jindro then went on to quickly respond, "My apologies for the sudden inconvenience, my lord, but are we all ready to head back now?" With Ligor responding, "It would seem so, for I was able to confirm that Universe 7 is indeed more of an ally universe than it is an enemy to our cause, and so as we will, I will go and return to you now and speak on what was discovered." Hey, wait, so don't tell me that you guys just simply came here to stop Broly's fight with Lord Primos and leave now, did you, Goku questions? And on top of it all, what exactly was it that you went and had told Broly? Because not for nothing, but we want to know now too. With Vegeta responding, "So careful with how you want to go and address these destroyers, Kakarot. And so you better watch how it is that you speak, or else you'll end up getting us all into even more trouble than the previous ones that we had to go and deal with." With Tigron being shown emerging from the crater by responding, "Although he refuses to admit his defeat against the Saiyan, I'm fairly certain that Lord Primos has gotten the message, and so it is done." With Ligor responding, "Good, and so then we'll go and take our leave and be on our way, since we have the answers that we came here looking for. And to answer your question, Son Goku, yes, we in fact are. And although this isn't any sort of goodbye on the matter," Ligor went on to then continue upon being shown walking towards the portal, "we do in fact intend on seeing you all very soon, but if you truly wish not to let this day go on by, then what is it that you have in mind, since you appear to have many questions that is on your mind, especially when considering on how you do not wish for us to go and take our leave?" "Well, actually, yeah, I do, and so hey, I have an idea then," Goku responds. "So since you guys are newly created gods of destruction, would it be alright with you if we could also come and take a look inside your universe and catch up with you guys in there?" With the shocked Vegeta responding, What are you even saying here? Have you lost your mind or what, Kakarot? Why do you insist on trying to force your way into causing more and more trouble among these gods than it's worth, you idiots? As you're only going to make things worse by doing this." But shockingly enough, as Whis and Beerus went on to quickly chime in, was when Whis went on to then respond, "Well, on second thought, it looks as though someone disagrees, Vegeta." With Beerus responding, "Yes, I actually second this, for we might end up learning a thing or two while visiting this newly created world, and so come now and let us go and take our leave. Otherwise, you will all be left behind if you choose to want to decide and stay where you are." Well, I guess look on the bright side here, Vegeta. At least with Lord Beerus having to agree with my dad, this would at least go and put us all at ease in knowing that things aren't going to get crazy while in there. With Goku responding, "No, don't worry, you guys, it'll be fine. And besides, these two destroyers seem to be a whole lot friendlier than most of the other gods of destruction, and so so I think that will be fine. Yeah, right, Vegeta went on to then follow Gohan through the portal. As if you honestly expect for me to go and trust your idiot of a father and having him not get us involved in some kind of a battle here against those two would be giving him far too much credit. Oh, but so be it. But don't say that I didn't go and warn you ahead of time. To which, as our heroes were then shown entering into Universe 20, it was only upon having to look around in amazement with Goku having to observe his surroundings was when Goku then went on to further respond, "Whoa, just look at this place. It's huge. And it's also really hot here as well. Probably not as hot as Lord Ferrex's universe was, but, well, still pretty dense. But what do you think, Broly? And are you also able to sense all of those really massive battle powers around here too?" "Yes, I do," Broly responds, "but they don't appear to be on this planet, so are they also gods? Probably not, right? Which only leaves me to take a guess and say that this universe appears to house several really strong mortals here too. And so now welcome into my universe and on to my home," Ligor went on to address everyone by responding, "where you are actually all the first mortals from any other world aside from my own who has been shown having to come here, and for you, the second god of destruction aside from Lord Tigron to come here, Lord Beerus, so please, do go and have a look around if you wish to see more into my universe," Ligor continues, "and if there is anything that you would like to go and discuss, or if there are any questions that any of you would like to ask, then feel free to go and do so while you are all here with us, for we will try our best in answering them," as Whis went on to then respond, "Well now, what a very rich-filled world, as I'm sure that you can also sense what I am able to also sense, can you, Lord Beerus?" With Beerus responding, "Yes, I do, but we'll go and talk about this once we go back home, as I do find this world to be quite interesting to say the least, and so it is best for us to go and take as many notes of what we see and what we can sense for once we go back home, Whis." "Hey, come to think of it, I actually have a really cool idea that I think would be a really exciting one," Goku then went on to quickly add. "Now, you both look like you're incredibly strong and probably two of the most powerful gods of destruction among them all, and being that we're already here, and I actually wanted to go and see if I could have a shot at seeing how strong you guys really are by maybe going head-to-head against you in some kind of an exhibition match or something, you know? And so not only do I think that it would be a great way to test our strength against you if anyone else wants to join in, but it'll also be a great way for you guys to also go and test our powers too," with the shocked Vegeta responding, What's wrong with you, Kakarot? Have you honestly lost your mind here or what? You're going to end up destroying us all, you idiots! Stop trying to provoke them!" "You openly request to go through by challenging us to an exhibition match?" a surprised Ligor went on to then ask. "Is he serious, Lord Ligor? Surely he can't be," Tigron went on to respond, with Gohan having to then chime in. "Hey, are you sure that you really want to go through with this, Dad? Because if these destroyers are likely going to be stronger than Lord Primos and you didn't really do well against him, then shouldn't you just maybe reconsider?" "You see, this is exactly why you are an idiot, Kakarot. You always want to go and just put us all in danger just because you feel the need to want to go and battle against someone who is far stronger, and despite having to just face off against several other gods of destruction before these two," with Goku responding, "Yeah, but what are the chances of us actually having to go and have this opportunity again, Vegeta? And so I think we'll be just fine." But then, it was only just as Goku was shown having to stretch with one of the gods having to answer Goku's request was when one of them went on to then quickly shout, "Fine, then I'll be the one who will gladly go and accept your challenge," with Goku questioning, "Wait, really? You do? And so you'll be going first then?" With Ligor having to then question, "Tell me, are you sure that you want to go through with this? For getting into a direct conflict with potential allies wasn't something that we had intended to have happen here today. And so what are you thinking about, Lord Tigron?" With Tigron responding, "Now while your caution is noted, we stand to learn much from this encounter, since this one here also happens to be a direct student of the gods, along with the other one who is next to him, and so this exhibition will allow for us to gauge their progress and see if they possess the qualities that truly set a mortal apart from a deity, and also having to then see if they are actually worthy enough to be considered our allies," Tigron says. "Oh, well, if that's the case, then I might as well see this through myself and ensure that you don't die in this battle," Vegeta went on to then step forward by responding, "as not only will I be joining then, but now you have making me curious on where my power will stand by comparison to his, with Goku uttering, "Well, I'm glad that you decided to want to go and join in, because not only does Lord Tigron look really strong, but I think that he'll actually be the perfect deity for us to go and test our powers here against, especially if he is one of the top 3. I'm not really sure on what to make of this, but I don't really think that it'll be such a good idea for my dad and Vegeta to be doing this so soon, but what say you, Broly? Do you think that they could go and maybe somehow pull it off here against that destroyer?" With Broly responding, "If this is going to be based off what I know, then while Kakarot and Vegeta continue to struggle while using those forms, they are without a chance of defeating that destroyer by the very end." As Beerus went on to then quickly chime back in, "This is quite the view that you have from up here, Destroyer, and so are you sure that you want to agree to want to go and do this?" With Ligor responding, "It is, isn't it? But I think it'll be very beneficial for us to go and watch and observe, as I couldn't be more certain with my decision, Lord Beerus." With Beerus having to then quickly respond, "Then tell me something. What is it that you know that we don't? Because I don't take you as being someone who is up to something nefarious. And so what exactly did you go and tell that Saiyan Broly over there? And what exactly are you up to here?" With Ligor responding, "Well, although I do not intend to plan anything against you or your universe, since I am more of a direct destroyer rather than a sneaky one, I will explain more in due time after this contest between your students and Lord Tigron is over with, Lord Beerus." Which it was only just upon with Tigron being shown getting on all fours and positioning himself right before battling Goku and Vegeta was when Tigron then went on to respond, "Before we engage, understand that I expect nothing less than your absolute best if either of you hope to make it by me in one piece. For this will not just be a fight to test your strength, but it will also be a fight that will go on to challenge the very godhood that you carry, along with your ability to stand against one of the most fearsome gods of destruction among them all. And so now go and prepare yourselves, for I will not show you any mercy in this fight. And while neither of your powers are going to be something that I am not already well aware of," Tigron continues, "I want you both to go and show me on just how proficient you truly are while wielding them in battle." To which it was only moments later with Goku and Vegeta now shown having to channel the powers of their Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego forms onto the surface was when Gohan then went on to chime back in, "Well, I sure do hope that Dad and Vegeta are ready to engage here, because there's no telling on how strong that Tiger God is going to be, but if anything, I don't think that they ever had intended on sparring with us here, but what do you think? Do you think that this was all a part of their plan or something, Broly?" With Broly responding, "Well, from what I know, those gods of destruction don't hold anything against us, unlike how the other destroyers did, and so while I'll go and fill you in on what I know later, to my understanding, they are only looking to further gauge us in order to see if we are worthy of fighting alongside with or not." To which, as Vegeta was then shown standing in front of Goku, was when Vegeta then went on to quickly respond, "Listen, I'll be the first one to go and engage with him here, since it'll make more sense when considering on how we both stem from the same token of strength in wielding destructive power, and so unless I call for you, then I'll be fighting him first. Got it?" With Goku responding, "Wait, seriously? But didn't we agree to go and fight him together on this one? Because, well, I mean, there's no telling on what that destroyer is capable of, and so don't you think that it'll be wise for us just to go and engage against him together?" "Oh, those two better not go and screw this up down there," Beerus went on to then quickly add, "because they won't have another chance to fix it if they do." As Ligor then went on to raise his hand up by quickly shouting, "And now that both parties are in order and ready to engage, let the exhibition between you all begin." To which it was only upon with Tigron being shown quickly making the first move was when Tigron then went on to quickly shout, "Mortals of the 7th universe, this will be your one and only chance to go and prove to us on why you are worthy to stand among us as warriors who are not only able to bear the power of the gods, but also contend against them in battle as well." Whoa, this destroyer is a hell of a lot faster for someone his size than I ever would have imagined for him being, and so we've got to hurry and act fast, Goku says. "Well then, what are you just standing around here waiting for him to attack us for, Kakarot? Hurry and break away now before that beast is able to go and pounce on us." Which it was only fortunately enough with Goku and Vegeta being shown barely getting out of the way as Tigron went crashing on down where they once stood was when Gohan then went on to quickly chime in, "Man, that god of destruction is probably the meanest and likely the most vicious destroyers that I have yet to see when compared to the others. And what's even more is that they are hardly even getting started out there too, but oh, I just hope that they are careful out there against him. To which it was only then within that very moment as Vegeta became the first among the two in having to go against Tigron directly was when Vegeta went on to then quickly shout, "Alright, God of Destruction, since you wanted to go and see as to what we're made of while training under the gods, then allow for me to go and show you. You arrogant little warrior, challenging me whilst trying to do it alone without the aid of your ally was a mistake," Tigron says. "And because of this, it'll be one mistake that you will come to quickly find out that'll go on to cost you dearly, Saiyan. And so, don't go and get too comfortable here, Saiyan." Tigron went on to then tackle Vegeta down upon being shown mounting on top of him. "For you carry the power of a god of destruction, but yet you still fight like a mere mortal by taking the foolish approach of allowing for me to go and make the first move against you and not the other way around. Did you truly think that you, with your incomplete understanding of destruction, could stand against me? No, and because you are the first to go and try, you will be the first to go and fall. Get your giant filthy hands off of me, destroyer!" No, you aren't going anywhere, especially since you wanted to go and be the first to approach me during this contest, and while I have you, you better start moving fast. To which it was only just upon with Tigron being shown pinning Vegeta down as he was shown continuously striking him was when Beerus then went on to quickly chime in by responding, "You know, this newly crowned destroyer of the 19th is quite the fierce yet extremely agile fighter, for the way he was able to just move right in and attack the Saiyans just now was extremely impressive, as it would only seem as though he appears to be masking his true power while against them on top of it all. And so tell me, how powerful is this god of destruction truly, Lord Ligor?" With Ligor responding, "Well, don't let Lord Tigron's sheer size and mass fool you from what he is capable of in doing, but judging based on how this is going thus far," Ligor continues upon Tigron being shown having to notice Goku move right in, "and I don't see the need for Lord Tigron to exert more of his full power against the Saiyans just yet," with Tigron quickly responding, "You Saiyans are extremely tenacious, and while I admire your courage in going against me like this, just because you were both physically and mentally lucky enough to obtain such divine power doesn't mean much of anything when you are only able to wield such power while in its early infancy stages, mortals. For powerful you may be, but strong enough to compare against us, you are not." Tigron went on to then quickly grab onto Goku's neck before being shown slamming him down onto the ground. "And so while you may think that you have both reached the pinnacle of your powers, you are both tragically mistaken, as the two of you are merely scratching the surface of divine power, and until you've realized that, you will never come close in having to overpower me." I see, so the Destroyer also sees beyond the Saiyan's ability to currently wield their powers at such an early level, Beerus went on to then chime in. "But then what exactly is it that you are looking to gauge, my mortals, from the 7th floor?" Beerus then went on to quickly question, as you went on to mention on how we are considered as an ally universe for whatever it is that is to come. And so I want you to go and explain more about what this is that you mean, God of Destruction, for now I want to know. As Ligor then went on to respond, "Well, what it is that I seek to understand about these warriors goes a little deeper than just gauging their raw power, but it is rather more about gauging their resilience and their ability to endure the true weight of divine pressure for whatever it is that is to come in the near future," Ligor continues. "For although I will go on to fill you in more on what my angel had recently uncovered, which only some of us are in the know about, for there are things in motion and pieces that haven't yet fallen into place just yet, but let's just say it's always wise to know as to where your allies stand," Ligor continues, "and especially when you might one day have to depend on them in the most critical of circumstances." Which it was only then within that very moment as Tigron was then shown having to repeatedly slam Goku's body down onto the ground before throwing him was when Tigron then went on to quickly shout, "You should have thought twice about your challenge before you decided to go and declare one against me, and so let this serve as a lesson on why you are of no match to me." "Oh geez, that was rough, but are you okay, Dad?" Gohan went on to question. "Do you want us to go and swap out with both you and Vegeta, cause you guys aren't looking like you're doing too good out there," with Goku responding, No, don't do it. We're fine, Gohan, and so we'll just try and just manage to go and try to figure out a way to take this battle back from him, but whatever you do, just don't go and get yourself involved out there against him, Gohan. Why, you? Just because you may have been gifted with more of a better understanding by wielding destructive power doesn't mean that I didn't go on to look into the annals of history to see myself mastering this form and surpassing you gods as a result of it. As if peering into another reality to see yourself wielding a stronger variation of what it is that you have now changes nothing, Tigron quickly responds. But guess what, Saiyan? For whatever you may have seen will not change the outcome of the losing battle that you will continue to wage here against me, Saiyan. To which in a ferocious manner, with Tigron then shown sinking his teeth into Vegeta's leg before having to be shown violently shaking him back and forth, was when Beerus went on to then chime back in. This god of destruction is going to tear these two apart down there if he goes and keeps this up down there against them. And so how are you so sure that he isn't going to tear right through them and end their lives while they engage down there? With Ligor responding, he won't, because as an allied universe in our cause to stand against whatever darkness may come in the near future, Lord Tigron wouldn't jeopardize our odds by destroying our allies during this battle, but these two have much to learn and more to achieve before they can lay complete mastery over these ultra forms that they currently wield. Yeah, well, that's assuming that they could even go as far as to evolve themselves, unlike how Broly and Gohan were shown having to do, but this is just hard to watch, Beerus responds. To which suddenly then within that very moment, as Tigron went on to then sink his teeth deeper into Vegeta's leg and having to be shown leaping on up by avoiding one of Goku's many attacks, was when Goku then went on to quickly respond, "That's enough, God of Destruction, because in case you must have already forgotten, you're fighting me here alongside with Vegeta too. And so now why don't you go and let go of him, and instead of trying to sink your teeth into us like the rest of them tried doing," Goku continues, "you should instead go and fight us head on and show us what your power is really made of, Lord Tigron." How pitiful, and here I expected better from you both, and so now hurry it up and try again, but this time go and try to do it better. Oh, hey, I got you, Vegeta. Goku then went on to catch Vegeta by quickly responding, "Are you okay? Because the way this is going, we're not going to make any way out here against him, and so do you have a plan?" With Vegeta responding, "Oh, I have a plan, all right, and the plan is to go and charge in and punch his lights out while we still can, and so let's go. Understand that while your will to stand up against an enemy who is far stronger than you is noted as a worthy act of being called an ally to our cause," Tigron responds, "your powers, however, are still far from reaching their prime." "Oh, damn this god of destruction," Vegeta shouts. "We can't let him go and get over on us even for a second, so as long as we continue to apply the pressure, then we should have him beat." "Yeah, but are you having any luck in getting through here, Vegeta? Because judging by the looks of it, we only seem to be angering him more and more rather than having to be shown actually hurting him," Goku responds. "Damn you, god of destruction, and this overly ridiculous sturdy frame of yours! Why are you so difficult to damage when compared to some of the other previous destroyers?" Vegeta shouts. "He's extremely tough and very hard to predict on when and where he'll stick and move," Goku then went on to respond. "And so this is one of the only chances that we will have thus far to go and try to overturn this fight within our favor while we can." But then, it was only just upon with Tigron being shown having to completely move out of the way and causing Vegeta to miss his strike was when Vegeta then went on to quickly respond, "Oh, darn it, don't let up on him while we're attacking, otherwise he'll go and turn this around on us, Kakarot." "His speed is incredible," Goku then went on to barely be shown having to avoid Tigron's strikes, "especially since I can now feel him starting to creep up next to mine, and so you better hurry it up, Vegeta, because I don't think that I can." But then, it was suddenly then from out of nowhere with Tigron quickly shown having to duck on under, with Vegeta shown having to accidentally strike Goku across the face, was when Vegeta then went on to quickly shout, "Oh, damn it, Kakarot, go and get your head back in the game here, otherwise he's going to tear us both apart if we don't figure something out, and fast." "You Saiyans need to face it," Tigron went on to then quickly respond upon being shown lunging on up by uppercutting Vegeta in the stomach. "For be that as noble as you both are and considerable allies to have by our side, you will never possess the necessary strength that is needed to ever come close in rivaling my power on the battlefield, mortal." But it was only just just then, fortunately enough for Vegeta, with Goku shown having to quickly swoop in and elbowing Tigron in the face by getting him away from Vegeta, was when Goku then went on to quickly respond, "Vegeta, I need you to go and listen to me right now because we are all out of options here against this destroyer, and there's only one other shot that we have here at staying alive, and so we'll need to just hurry and go and take it before it's too late," with Vegeta being shown trying to sit up by responding, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me here. Surely you're not serious right now, are you? Because we can go and try to find a way to go and take him alone without it." "No, we can't," Goku quickly responds. "Look, I can feel it, and I know that you can feel it too. For every move that we go and try to make, he's countering us like it's nothing, and so we've only got a few seconds left, and if we don't go and fuse now, then we are absolutely done for against him out here, Vegeta. And so now, while we're still able to get a second out here to try to regroup and get our heads straight, we've got to hurry and go and take this chance to do what we can in order for us to make it out of this battle in one piece, and so you've got to trust me. We don't have a lot of time here to go and do this, Vegeta, and so please, just this once, and I promise that I won't go and ask you to fuse with me again," with Vegeta responding, "Oh, I absolutely hate having to always rely on using this, but fine. One last time and no more. Do you understand, Kakarot?" with Goku responding, "That's fine, but we have to hurry and fuse while we still have a few seconds to spare," to which it was only then within that moment as Tigron went on to oversee Goku and Vegeta attempting to fuse, was when Tigron then went on to quickly intervene by responding, "I've seen you mortals go and use the Metamor infusion once before, and you'd be foolish to think that I'd go and allow for you both to use it here against me, and especially since you wanted to go and face me alone without it," Tigron continues, "and since you are both willing to still go through and try it regardless of this fact, then allow me to go and remind you both on why your plans to fuse against me will fail. For there will be no fusion that will emerge between you both, and so now Crimson Destruction Wave!" To which it was only shockingly enough from beneath Goku and Vegeta, as a burst of destruction energy was shown having to engulf them both, was when Gohan then went on to quickly shout, "Oh no, he caught them both from beneath just before they were able to successfully pull off the fusion dance, and they aren't going to make it if this keeps going like this," as Beerus went on to then chime in, "This destroyer's ferociousness is unlike anything that I've ever seen, even while preserving himself in battle against two of my most powerful mortal warriors," for it goes on to speak volumes on what this god of destruction is capable of, as Ligor then went on to chime in, "And to the credit of your mortal allies, they are lucky to be alive when considering the magnitude of Lord Tigron's attack, and while Lord Tigron isn't aiming to go and snuff their lives away," Ligor continues, "he will, however, continue to go and engage against them both until they are either forced to submit or forfeit via a third party, but we will wait and see on how this will go. You two have much to learn, but for what it's worth," Tigron went on to then crouch down on all fours by slowly being shown having to approach Goku and Vegeta, "I admire your ability to summon the courage to challenge me, but unless you back down now, then I will not be shown having to let up against you both until you are forced into absolute submission. Resilient you are, but comparable you are not." But then, it was only just before Tigron was able to get any closer towards Goku and Vegeta was when Gohan went on to appear in the middle by having to intervene and sticking his arms out by then quickly responding, "That's enough, God of Destruction. You've proved your point against my dad and Vegeta, and while it's clear that they are in no shape to continue to fight you, if you are still looking to see if we are worthy of standing as your allies in whatever situation you saw that concerned you, then I'm your guy, Destroyer." Oh, the boy is extremely brave for throwing in the towel on behalf of those two. Beerus went on to then quickly chime back in, "Since it is now clear to us all that they still need to be trained in order to ascend, but I'm not sure if Gohan should follow through in challenging this destroyer," with Ligor having to quickly respond, "Now while I understand your concern, I disagree with your hesitation in allowing for the mortal to engage Lord Beerus, or if he's ever to be considered an equal to the gods and a notable ally in our cause, then he must be tested, and what better test than against Lord Tigron, whose agility base strength and experience will force the boy in showing us more on what he can do. As Gohan then went on to continue, listen, there is no need for you to go and try to fight them while they're down, Lord Tigron, but it's as I said, for if you truly want this exhibition to be worth your while, then I'll be the one to fill in for my dad in Vegeta's place and take you on head-to-head, one-on-one, with Tigron responding, we know all about you after seeing what you did against Lord Primos for the brief time that you did, and so for your sake, you should strongly go and take this moment to reconsider unless you are absolutely sure that you want to go through with this. As Goku then went on to chime in, no, Gohan, don't do this. He's too strong, and there's no telling on what he's going to go and do out here if you go and engage against him. With Gohan responding, don't worry about me out here, Dad, because while I understand that this just might be the strongest destroyer that we've encountered in battle thus far, I'm not going to waver my resolve during this exhibition, especially now while having to train under Lord Beerus. And while you may look fearsome along with being incredibly powerful for a god who doesn't hold any grudges against Lord Beerus or our universe, Gohan continues, I just want you to know that I'm not backing down from this. As Tigron went on to then respond, your eyes don't appear to lie while you stand here before me, which only leaves me to believe that you truly don't fear my power, despite with you having to see on what it was that you just saw against Goku and Vegeta. But I ask you, what exactly brings you to this conclusion that you will be any different? Tigron asks. Why? Because you were trained under Lord Beerus? Well, the one who wields the power of a god over there was also trained under him, and guess what? He failed, and so what makes you think that you won't go and fail too? With Gohan responding, well, for one, not only do I wield a form that is far stronger than what my dad and Vegeta were shown having to use here against you, but I also happen to have engaged against Lord Beerus while at his absolute best, which has only now resulted in my ability to know that if I was able to hold my own against him, then I know for an absolute fact that I'll be able to go and hold my own against you, God of Destruction. With Tigron responding, very interesting. Now, I don't know on whether or not you are delusional for thinking that you can win, or if you truly are as strong as you claim to be, but nevertheless, I await eagerly to witness your power, and I mean all of it if you hope to make it out of this in one piece. As it was only with Gohan being shown having to step forward and answering Tigron's call upon having to be shown battling Goku and Vegeta was when Gohan then went on to respond, well, I guess since you've already seen the baseline of what my true power consists of after briefly having to deal with Lord Primos in Universe 18, what I want to go and understand is what separates a mortal like me from a newly appointed destroyer like you that goes far beyond sheer force alone. And so here is my proposal to you, Gohan continues. Since I figured you were already really strong even long before having to best both my dad and Vegeta in a 2-on-1 handicap fight, how about we go and do this instead? The first one between us to falter or to show even the slightest crack under the weight of this battle loses. So then that way it won't just be a contest of power here between us, because if you're truly looking to test our willpower and resilience on top of seeing how reliable we are as an ally universe, Gohan says, then I suggest that you go and agree to these terms so that way we can go and find out. With Tigron responding, so those are your terms now, are they? Well, fine, for I accept, and while I can sense a great deal of fire that burns with every passing moment that your heart beats, just know that I am not your ally in this contest, for we will need to know for sure on if your universe can be relied on, and so for your sake, I hope that you are ready, Saiyan. And while I expect a far greater challenge to come from you than I did those other two, Tigron continues, I will, however, commend your bravery to challenge me after seeing what you just saw, for it is your kind of bravery that we are hoping to find while referring to you as our allied universe mortal. But then, it was only just upon with Broly being shown having to arrive and helping assist Goku and Vegeta was when Broly went on to address Gohan by responding, wait, before you go and choose to engage, you should consider on having me fight him instead, Broly says. Not only because I think that I can go and take him, but I want to see on how far I can go and push my powers against a destroyer as powerful as this one, with Gohan responding, although I appreciate your offer, but I'm going to have to respectfully decline, Broly. For what it was that you showcased against Lord Primos was nothing short of extraordinary, but you have already demonstrated your newly overwhelming strength to the gods against Lord Primos, and so they already know on exactly what it is that you are capable of, but this battle here against Lord Tigron is mine, Gohan says. And so while I know that you have the strength to go and directly go head-to-head against a destroyer such as Lord Tigron, but you still seem to lack the battle experience that I think is needed to last until the very end, Gohan continues, which is why I hold a greater level of martial arts experience than you do, which is also why I think that it would be best for you to go and watch, observe, and study the way I fight in the meantime. And so because of this, I want you to go and observe on how I handle my power against the god of destruction of his stature, and study my approach along with my skills, so that way you can go and forge your own unique path as a fighter instead of just having to rely on sheer power alone. And so just trust me on this one, Broly, and while I don't expect for this to be an easy fight, Gohan says, I want you to really go and study on how it is that I go about this, so that way you can also go and learn a thing or two in refining your skills, because for whatever reason these gods are asking for our trust, Gohan says, it has to be something that is far bigger than what we realize, and so I also intend on finding out as to why after I'm done with this battle. Come now and hear me, God of Destruction, Ligor went on to then suddenly respond to Beerus by having to grab him by the shoulder, for you may go and set aside any worries that you may have if you fear of Lord Tigron destroying the mortal during this contest, but judging based on what we already know and what it was that we were able to see come from the Saiyans in your universe, I do in fact commend you for keeping such warriors around, as they all appear to be both very reliable and very loyal to what it is that they believe in, Ligor continues. And while I know that you are still questioning on what it is that we know, worry not, for I will go and fill you all in on what it is that we know after their battle down there has finally concluded, with Beerus being shown pointing out by then responding, well, be that as it may, there is something about Lord Tigron that has me quite intrigued, Beerus says, for I've went on to watch countless gods of destruction fight before, but there's a certain refinement in his power that I haven't seen from many of our peers, and so because of this, I can't help but wonder now, for is Lord Tigron one of the very few among us who has achieved something close to 100% mastery over his god of destruction powers? Because I can currently go on to sense more to his strength than what he is currently showing, with Ligor responding, well, I'm surprised that you were able to notice, but you are indeed correct, God of Destruction, for Lord Tigron is in fact one of the very rare few among our kind who is fully able to harness and master his destroyer power, but even now, let's just go on and wait and see on where this mortal stands when having to go up against such a force as Lord Tigron, and so now we are about to find out, with Broly being shown having to turn back by responding, Gohan, whatever you do and whatever happens, try not to go down against him, with Gohan responding, thanks, well, I'll try not to, but while you're with my dad and Vegeta, I want you to go and keep in mind the things that I told you and focus mainly on the techniques and the skills that I display out here, so that way you may have a better understanding on what it was that I had told you while I fight him, as Tigron went on to then look down by responding, so now that we have agreed to the terms of how we plan on having this go, I expect for you to go all out from the very beginning and give me the best possible battle that your mortal body is capable of handing out. Well then, if your plan is to want me to go all in from the very beginning against you, Gohan says, then why don't you go and do yourself a favor here and stay right where you are, and I'll gladly go and give you exactly what you are looking for. To which Gohan went on to do exactly that, because with Gohan now having to waste little time in transcending and jumping straight into his ultimate beast form was when Vegeta went on to then chime in, just look at this, would you? And to think that we would ever come to see the day where both you and I would fall behind both Broly and Gohan like this is both infuriating and astounding, but can he actually go and do it out there is the real question, as Whis went on to then heal both Goku and Vegeta by responding, well, as astonishing as it may be to see, I don't think that either one of you should go on to worry much about Gohan now that he's at the pinnacle of his true power, unless of course Lord Tigron goes on to prove us wrong out there, that is, with Goku being shown turning around by asking, wait, then what do you think, Whis? Do you really think that Gohan can go out there and pull it off against him? With Whis responding, well, with my bias aside, we'll simply have to go and wait and see, but I wouldn't go and have to worry too much if I were you. But at the same time, it was like I had just mentioned, we will have to give it time and wait and see how this will go. Interesting, Ligor then went on to chime back in. So I take it that with this one having to train directly under you, I assume that the result of this massive battle power that he is currently displaying had come from your training with him, is that correct? Because for a mortal warrior to harness this much energy to match that of a god of destruction such as Lord Tigron is both an interesting concept to witness and a very questionable one as well, with Beerus responding, well, something like that. So yes, for even I was surprised upon having to first accept him as my training partner for the time being, but even now while we watch him undertake this transformation before they battle, I can safely say with confidence that this will not be as easy of a battle as it just was with the other two. And so while we watch as they engage, Beerus continues upon now having to see Ultimate Beast Gohan unleash a barrage of attacks momentarily after having to transform. Do bear in mind that as strong as both Goku and Vegeta were shown being, Beerus continues, Gohan there and that other Saiyan Broly are not only stronger than they are, but they are also now two of the very strongest mortals that Universe 7 has produced, and so do keep that in mind. To which it was only then within that very moment as Tigron was shown having to avoid each and every single one of Ultimate Beast Gohan's blasts upon having to be shown making his way ever so closer towards Gohan was when Tigron went on to address Gohan by responding, a very valiant attempt of trying to blast me upon closing out your transformation, Saiyan. However, if you truly believe that you can go and pull a fast one on me without me having to catch on to you, then allow for me to go and give you a reminder on why your tactics aren't going to work against me. Whoa, he's a lot faster than how he was shown being before, Gohan responds upon having to see Tigron lunge up in the air right after him, and so I must make sure not to go and take any chances here against him, otherwise I'll be a goner if I do, and so here goes. To which it was only then within that moment with Tigron shown having to smash his way into Gohan upon Gohan being shown having to try and defend himself was when Vegeta went on to then chime back in, I don't know if I like this, for that destroyer is extremely difficult to try and predict, and so because of this, Gohan will have to try another way of approaching him than how we did if he hopes to win. And while it is clear to us that he isn't fighting for the purpose of ending our lives, Vegeta continues, if our battle had been lifted to have such things be put into action, then I have no doubt that we would have been destroyed by the end of it, with Goku chiming in, yeah, no kidding, and look, that destroyer is using that huge frame of his to go and drive Gohan back more and more, which definitely isn't good. Oh, but I trust that Whis knows on what it is that he is talking about, because if both him and Lord Beerus are the only ones who actually know on what Gohan here is capable of, especially while wielding this newly discovered transformation in his, then we'll go and wait and see as to what he will do. Well, so far so good, because if you go and look closely, Vegeta responds, I think not only is Gohan able to actually hurt him upon now being shown having to strike him, but if he is somehow able to overwhelm that destroyer with more and more heavy attacks without the chances of having Lord Tigron try and turn this around on him, then I really do believe that Gohan could end up pulling it off here. But it was only upon Tigron now being shown having to grab and lift Gohan in the air was when Goku went on to then chime in, yeah, but oh man, look, he was able to grab a hold of him, and so now I'm worried that he might end up doing to Gohan on exactly on how it was that he was shown having to do to us. Oh, and so we can't have this happen, and so try not to go and let him throw his weight around on you like this, Gohan, for you've got to try and muscle your way out of it, with Broly having to then chime in, his movements and fearsome approach by using his sheer size against Gohan is similar to the way Lord Primos was shown having to do, only this destroyer seems to be far more capable with using his size to his advantage, to which as Tigron was shown having to throw Gohan on his head was when Vegeta went on to then chime back in, oh damn it, this is not looking like it's going to end well out there against Gohan if that destroyer starts throwing him around his head like this, and so he'll need to try and think of some kind of a plan and fast, otherwise it'll be over, as Tigron went on to address Gohan by responding, was that all? Surely I don't think that it was, and so now hurry it up and fight back, or we'll just have to go and call it here within my favor, Saiyan. And so now what's it going to be? Are you going to go and fight back, or are you? But then it was just within that very moment before Tigron even had the chance to finish was when Ultimate Beast Gohan had gone as far as to lunge himself on up by kicking Tigron in the face, with Goku having to chime back in, good, don't give up no matter how strong this god of destruction is, Gohan, as I couldn't be more proud of you, and so keep the pressure on him no matter what, with Vegeta having to chime back in. It's almost fascinating, for the difference in Gohan's power and skill is night and day when compared to where he was before, but even now I'm starting to wonder on if there are any drawbacks to this form of his, because the question is, for how long can he go and continue to keep this going without having to burn out in the meantime? Well, for Gohan's sake, I hope that there aren't any Goku responds, but he sure is taking a beating out there, but he also seems to be taking these hits a lot better than how we were able to handle, and so because he is able to take such punishment, I'm only hoping that he can outlast that destroyer by the end of it, because it definitely isn't going to be an easy one, that much is for sure. You know, I have to say that this Gohan is quite the remarkable fighter, Ligor went on to address Beerus by responding, for Lord Tigron has always prided himself on being a nearly unstoppable force of power, and yet Gohan here appears to be going blow for blow out there against him as though they are equals. Yes, for there's an undeniable rawness to this mortal's power and the godlike aggressiveness that I haven't seen even come from Goku and Vegeta during their brief display. And so now tell me, was this a result of your doing, God of Destruction? Were you the one who was mainly responsible in having to draw this raw power and focus out while having him train alongside you? With Beerus responding, well, I can't stand here and denying being the one who was mainly responsible in drawing this ferocious side out of him during our training, but although I went and had my doubts when considering on how I never thought that I would ever see him reach the ranks of where Goku and Vegeta were shown having to be at the time, one thing that I will say is that he was always shown having been a bit soft, too much like his father in that regard, Beerus continues, along with being too focused on showing others mercy during combat and unwilling to fully embrace the rage that was needed to become a true warrior. But as you can clearly see, I went on to go and change all of that, but given what I know along with what I've seen and what it is that I already know when facing this mortal for myself to find out, Beerus continues, and unless something were to happen that would cause for Gohan to falter against this destroyer, then my money still goes in having my say in best, Lord Tigron, but in time, we will just have to go and wait and see, now won't we? To which, as Gohan was continuously shown having to blast Tigron from point blank range, was when Gohan then went on to say to himself, come on, if only I can go and keep this up, then hopefully it'll create the opening that I'm looking for so that I can go and make my move here, but I gotta continue blasting him until I can find the right moment to strike. Oh, this is getting very annoying, Tigron went on to then respond upon being shown getting hit from all sides, especially since I wasn't expecting for him to increase the amount of blasts and damage behind them this quickly, and while I can't see, what is that Saiyan plotting back there? Oh, for he's not thinking about rushing to attack me by using those blasts as cover now, is he? Wait, unless... There, Gohan shouts upon being shown placing his hands above his head. Now I got you exactly where it is that I want you, and while you may be tougher to bring down than how you were shown having to let off against me, just know that you won't be the last one shown having to stand here by the end. That much I can promise you already, Destroyer. And so now let's just see how you'll go and handle this one, God of Destruction, Masenko! To which it was only fortunately enough for Gohan, as Gohan's Masenko went on to make contact and having to blast Tigron from point blank range, was when Goku then went on to chime back in. Incredible, good, that's the way, Gohan! For he was able to blind Lord Tigron momentarily and not just creating an opening for him to nail him with that Masenko of his, but I also think that he may have went and actually damaged him a bit along the way as well, but it's a little hard to tell, so there's no doubt that Gohan is doing a lot better against him out there than how we were shown having to do, Goku continues, and so for everyone's sake, let's just hope that Lord Tigron had enough out there, otherwise Gohan will have to try another approach if he hopes to beat him while out there by himself. Oh, well, I don't quite know if this will be enough to actually do it, Vegeta responds, but he certainly has to be damaged by what he was just shown having to take out there, and so don't get your hopes up just yet against these gods, Kakarot. To where even then within that moment as the dust began to settle with Gohan being shown having to patiently wait and seeing what the end result was upon having to be shown blasting Tigron, was when Gohan then went on to respond, there we are, and so you wasn't expecting that one, now were you, Destroyer? Because maybe now you can see exactly what it is that I meant when I said that I wasn't going to go down as easily as you thought that I would, and while I know that you aren't as damaged as you'd like for me to go and think that you are in there, Gohan continues, what I want to now know is, do you give up or are you still willing to go and continue? Because if you are still ready to go, then you can cut the act and then come on out and engage against me. Otherwise, you can see what it was about my power and skills to be true and just concede. And so now what's it going to be, Destroyer? But then it was only surprisingly enough within the smoke as Tigron was shown having to slowly emerge by also now being shown smiling was when Tigron went on to then respond, well, now I must admit that although I knew that you were going to be a far stronger opponent to challenge me than the other two were, I wasn't expecting for you to actually be as powerful as you currently are, Saiyan, but you can go on to make no mistake that this changes nothing, because if anything, this display of power only now just means that I will have to go and take you far more seriously than I anticipated, for you may have won the first round, but let me make something very clear to you, Gohan. For our fight here is far from over because I'm still standing. And because now that I can see that you won't be as easy to beat down as Goku and Vegeta were, then allow for me to go and grace you by using my full power in battle, so that way we may go and finally see on just how powerful and just how skillful you truly are, because now I'm ready to go and show you my all, Saiyan, the full force and the absolute true destructive nature of a destroyer god. Which this was exactly what Tigron had went on to do, because with Tigron now shown having to power up very viciously as Gohan went on to observe this was when Gohan then went on to respond, what an incredible and massive storm of energy. And so he knows that he will have to go all out here if he hopes to beat me then, huh? Well, so be it then. And while I didn't think that he would actually harbor this much destructive force, if there's one thing that my training with Lord Beerus has taught me, Gohan continues, it's that no matter how fearsome and no matter how grave any situation is, I won't back down until one of us is shown having to be the last one standing by the very end. And so let's do this. As with the fearsome god of destruction now looking to unveil the nature of his true destructive powers was when Goku then went on to observe by then responding, can you believe this or what? And to think that all of this was kept hidden deep within him, then there wouldn't have been no doubt that we had to fuse in order for us to stand a chance out there against him. But now I'm worried about Gohan's chances out there, especially if this destroyer is willing to go all out like this, with Vegeta responding, well, with our fusion aside, even though the odds don't appear to be within Gohan's favor out there against this destroyer at the moment, the only other way that we'll know for sure on exactly where Gohan stands out there against him is for us to simply go and wait and see if Gohan can hold his own out there against him during their battle while both being at maximum power. And so in the meantime, let's just hold out on having to go and make a move out there if it calls for it and see what comes out of this battle instead once it's all said and done, as we are now left with no other option but to go and trust Gohan's ability out there to go and do this. As Gohan then went on to quickly respond, yes, there we go. So this was what you were actually hiding this entire time now, were you? Well, I can't say that I'm not surprised, because I knew that you were hiding a lot more than you were shown having to put out here against us. However, Gohan continues, it's a good thing that I had went and trained with Lord Beerus when I did, because if I hadn't went and experienced what I experienced against him, then I surely wouldn't have been nearly as ready for you than how I am right now. And so let's just see as to what you're actually made of then, since this right here is what you're truly all about. To which it was only upon after being shown powering up as Tigron stood his ground, it was only just as Tigron was now shown having to be at his full power and having to stare Gohan down was when Tigron then went on to quickly respond, you should consider yourself very fortunate, because this is where we will see on how good you truly are, as I want you to go and behold, Saiyan. For what you are feeling right now, this weight that you sense that is pressing down upon you is none other than the full extent of my God of Destruction power, which was brought forth in its most natural and destructive state. As this is what true destruction feels like, for every God of Destruction wields immense destructive power, but only a very few are truly strong enough to bring 100% of that power out and survive under the strain of such force on the surface. For what you are seeing now is what makes me different different and what sets me apart from the other destroyers such as your own. For this, Saiyan, this is destruction in its most purest form, Tigron continues, as there were only ever a few gods who have ever dared to unleash the full force of its nature like this, and with even a fewer who were able to fully control it without having to crumble under the tremendous weight of its overwhelming power. But, Gohan, I have in fact went as far as to master this power, for I don't just happen to simply wield it as a weapon, but instead, I embody it. And so now I will show you what it means to face such power as we continue our battle, and so do not hesitate, Saiyan. And so now honor my demonstration by coming at me with all that you have, because I will test your might along with your resolve in order to see if you truly have what it takes to not only endure one of the strongest gods of destruction among the current governing, but I'd also want to see firsthand on just how powerful and just how reliable this ultimate beast level of yours truly is, especially when its back is up against the wall for its survival. As by no means did Gohan waste any time, because it was only just as Gohan was then shown having to dash directly towards Tigron was when Vegeta went on to then chime back in. Bro, tell us something, Whis. While Kakarot and I, along with Broly, had been busy dealing with some of the other gods of destruction, what exactly was it that made Lord Beerus want to go and choose Gohan as being his training partner, Vegeta questions? And more importantly is, what was Lord Beerus able to bring out of Gohan that has allowed for him to grow this confident and this powerful in battle, even against other gods of destruction such as the one that he is facing now? With Whis responding, well, I can honestly see on why you'd be curious upon having to see this sudden and unexpected change come from Gohan while the three of you had been away, but what you must understand is perhaps Lord Beerus had seen something within Gohan that both you and even Goku may have overlooked once before, and because of this, what Lord Beerus did, being the destroyer that he is, of course, was Lord Beerus had gone as far as to recognize this potential along with seeing his flaws and immediately helped him fix them. Which through this, what he did was not only simply a matter of helping Gohan train, but he sought out to eliminate these barriers within Gohan's mind and to destroy these self-imposing limits, which allowed for Gohan to finally come into his own without the fear of holding himself back. Which, furthermore, Gohan had grown so powerful and so sharp throughout this time that he even went as far as to nearly best Lord Beerus during their final battle while training, which I will say that if Lord Beerus didn't go all out against Gohan towards the very end, well, simply put, that I'm afraid the winner of that exhibition bout between them would have simply been called in Gohan's favor rather than in Lord Beerus's. But even now, in this moment, while he engages against such a foe as Lord Tigron Whis continues, what I will say is what you see now that is coming from Gohan, this fury, this unbridled power, was always there deep within him, but Lord Beerus knew that in order for Gohan to unlock this, he had to first go and eliminate the fears that shackled Gohan's true potential, and once those fears were gone, Gohan's true power had emerged, raw and within his complete and full control, but that's only a part of the story, of course, so do keep that in mind, with Goku responding, wait, Vegeta, did you just hear that right alongside with me? Whis, did you just say that Gohan nearly bested Lord Beerus in a fight? You mean while wielding this ultimate beast power against him, and Lord Beerus won? But it was only just within that very moment during the middle of the conversation as Tigron went on to bite down on Gohan's shoulder before having to press him down onto the ground was when Vegeta went on to then chime back in. Oh, well, enough about that, since we'll go and get into all the details later, but look, for it would only appear that Lord Tigron is using the same kind of tactics to leverage himself over Gohan as Lord Grizzlord did against Broly when he tried to bite down and tearing into his arm, and so I don't like this one bit, with Goku responding, oh darn it, you're right. Oh, and so what do you think we should go and do if Gohan doesn't manage to go and get that destroyer off of him in time? With Whis chiming back in, now just relax you two, for you ought to be more like Broly here and just pay close enough attention to give Gohan a chance here, because even though the situation may seem a little dire for him out there, Whis continues, I do in fact have a feeling that he will be just fine out there if my assessment here ought to be true. Which moreover, back on the battlefield as Gohan was doing everything within his ability to try and punch his way in knocking Tigron off off of him was when Gohan then went on to respond, "Oh damn it, get off of me, you animal, for I won't let you go and take control of our battle, as no matter what it takes, even if you go and try to sink your teeth into my flesh to try and stop me," Gohan continues, "I won't allow you to go and try to get the better of me while attempting to go and use your sheer size and mass against me to do it, God of Destruction. No chance, you hear me?" But then, it was only as soon as Tigron was shown getting on all fours before having to be shown unleashing a new attack was when Tigron then went on to respond, "Oh, I hear you saying, but you've already lost long before you even went on to realize it. Flames of Destruction!" Wait a second, that destroyer can combine the essence of destruction with fire? Vegeta questions. Is he actually trying to go and burn Gohan alive out there, or what? Oh damn it, he's fast, and so Gohan better not go and take his eyes off of that destroyer, and especially if he knows what's best for him out there in this battle, and so he just has to continue to go and focus and keep his eye on him at all times. To which it was only unfortunately enough for Gohan as Gohan went as far as to take his eyes off Tigron for even a moment was when Tigron was then shown getting behind Gohan with Gohan responding, "Oh shoot, he's a lot faster than how I originally thought that he would be because he was fast enough to see me coming, and so I've got to hurry and act fast before it's too late. Thought you had me there for a second now, did you?" Tigron went on to then question. "Well, I don't think so, so guess again, Saiyan. Now kneel before our battle while you're still allowed and able to move your body, mortal. Flames of Destruction!" Oh, Gohan better not let up out there, Vegeta went on to then chime back in, because he must go and try to find a way to power through the intensity of that destroyer's flames if he hopes to walk away from this fight in one piece. And so come on, Gohan, with Goku responding, "Well, I have no doubt that he's going to, but those flames must be so intense because you can see him driving Gohan further back down onto the ground, and to even think that he could have went and even tried to go and use that technique on us if we went on to continue this fight against him, and so because of that I can only just hope that Gohan can do it," with Vegeta responding, "Wait, hold on a second, look, Gohan's actually trying to push that destroyer's fire back by using the sheer force of his aura upon powering up to try and do it. Yes, good, now come on, son," Goku went on to then shout, "you can do this, we know that you have the power to emerge victorious against that destroyer, and so you've got to keep pushing, Gohan." But it would only unfortunately seem as though Tigron had other plans, because with Tigron then shown having to dash directly down towards Gohan's direction was when Tigron then went on to quickly shout, "Oh no you don't, Saiyan, for you're strong, but you aren't going to be strong enough to win. Come on, steady now." Gohan went on to then place his fingers on his forehead by then responding, "Yes, that's right, God of Destruction, right this way. For I've got to try to make this quick or else he'll try to find a way to counter it, for I've almost got him right where I need him to be, and so I'll need for him to go and try to make a move on me first, so that way I can go and pull this off in succession." To which it was only then within that very moment as Tigron went on to unleash his claws of destruction in assuming that he had got Gohan exactly where he wanted him was when Tigron then went on to shout, "Right there, gotcha, Saiyan, wait, he's gone, but where did he still think I'm not going to be strong enough to win, God of Destruction?" Gohan responds, with Tigron having to turn around by responding, "Oh, I should have known that he was baiting for me to get closer and closer, for the notion of him waiting for me to attack was a trap. Yeah, that's right, and you went and fell right for it, Destroyer Special Beam Cannon!" To which it was only then within that very moment, fortunately enough for Gohan, as his special beam cannon went on to make contact and creating a massive explosion being seen from a distance, was when Beerus then went on to chime back in, "You know, I must say, this destroyer is quite the warrior, especially when considering on how he's trying extremely hard to not Hakai the boy while in battle out there against him, but his power is without question among the very highest from what I am able to see come from him. But it was as I had said from the very beginning, for the Saiyan is no stranger to combat or danger either, Lord Ligor, as Ligor then went on to respond, yes, nor is he afraid of undertaking such a challenge either, which pretty much goes on to rule out any doubts of his fighting spirit that both myself and Lord Tigron may have had when first having to gauge the mortal. And while I do think that it's better to allow for them to continue their battle until one of them decides to falter against the other first, Ligor continues, there is no doubt in my mind that this mortal warrior, along with the other known as Broly, are going to be perfect allies against the Shadow Gods, along with the potential of a tournament to be held, which was just as I had suspected, as Beerus went on to then immediately chime back in. Now hold on there for just a moment, and what exactly do you mean by the coming of a potential tournament? What tournament? What are you referring to, and what Shadow Gods? For I have never heard of such beings that have ever been spoken about by any of the other destroyers before. And so what exactly are these so-called Shadow Gods that you speak of, Beerus questions? For what exactly do you really know that the rest of us don't, Destroyer? As Ligor then went on to respond, worry not, God of Destruction, for I will inform you all once the battles that are being waged have fully come to an end here, and when that happens, I will only then go as far as to fill you all in on what it was that myself and Lord Tigron had been told about by our angels before entering into Universe 18 when we did. And so until then, we will wait until this is over, as Vegeta then went on to oversee the battle by responding, I can't believe what I'm seeing, but look, Gohan, he's actually doing it. He's pushing that destroyer back more and more, for it's almost unbelievable, as Goku then went on to respond, I see it too, and his method with the way he seems to be going against that destroyer is unlike the way Gohan would ever go about in a battle like this before, for he only appears to be far more focused and far more aggressive with the way he's handling things down there, which only goes to show that I think Whis and Lord Beerus may have been right with what they saw in him. And if anything, this should be more of a wake-up call to us both, Goku continues, especially after seeing what Broly was also capable of in achieving out there against that destroyer. And so because of this, we ought to go and take our training far more seriously than how we were shown doing before, Vegeta, because even though I always knew that Gohan had the power within him, Goku continues, I never would have ever have expected to see him go all out like this, especially not against another far stronger God of Destruction, to which we couldn't even go as far as to handle both together, and so it's very telling. Well, whatever it was that he went and did is something that we must go and adapt and apply, Vegeta responds, for we must go as far as to adapt these principles just as hard as Gohan and Broly were shown having to also do, because to go as far as to see them both stand on their very own feet against such powerful adversaries is nothing short of remarkable. Yeah, and to see Gohan push back like this is not only a moment where I'm extremely proud of seeing how far he's come, Goku then went on to chime back in, but it's also most definitely worth having to go over once this is all done, so that way we don't go and fall behind. And while I think it's clear now more than ever that Gohan isn't going to go down as easily as that destroyer thinks, Goku continues, I wonder on how exactly they plan to end this, especially now that they have stalemated. And because of this, Goku continues, upon having to see Ultimate Beast Gohan and Tigron being shown breaking away, I sure do hope that Gohan can go and pull it off in time, unless something sudden and drastic were to occur that will cost him. Oh, you know, very rarely will you ever find me this surprised, Tigron went on to then respond upon having to be shown addressing Gohan, especially since you are the very first mortal warrior to ever come this far against me at full power like this and live to talk about it, but to see you stand where you are and go toe-to-toe with me and not buckle under the pressure only means that your destroyer did well by training you the way he did, for your strength, fighting spirit, and endurance are more than qualifying for an alliance with you and your universe. But make no mistake here, Saiyan, I have yet to waver throughout this battle, for I have responded to your power by using my own, and while this battle has been a very exhilarating experience, we are now at a stalemate, Saiyan, and since neither one of us are willing to back down against the other, what do you say we close this duel with one final attack that settles it? With Gohan responding, now I'd be lying if I said that you weren't just as tough as I imagined you being, and especially since I haven't had a battle battle that had pushed me this far since after having to train with Lord Beerus, but if you are willing to truly lay it all on the line and have it all come down to one final attack from the both of us here, then far be it from me to keep you waiting any longer. Then Gohan continues, and while I know that you aren't my toughest opponent, you are certainly one of the closest next to Lord Beerus, but since I also went as far as to make the promise and have this end on the terms and conditions that I had laid down, then if one final attack is how you want to go and settle this, then let's go and give it our all and end this, Gohan continues. And just so you know, though it was an honor to have faced you, Gohan then went on to charge up for a massive Kamehameha, I can guarantee you that from this moment forward, since you can finally now recognize as to what it is that I bring to the table in order to favor my universe, just note that this right here is going to be no exception, Lord Tigron. And so now let's find out on which one of us is going to buckle first. Kame! Yes, though your alliance towards our cause may have been recognized in potentially helping us prevent the dangers of what waits ahead of us, while I swore my oath to Lord Ligor that I wasn't going to destroy you, Tigron continues, understand that it'll be close enough once I burn you into oblivion. And so now go ahead and come at me and hit me with everything you've got, Saiyan. To which it was only then, seconds later, within that moment, that was exactly what both Tigron and Gohan were then shown having to do, as Goku then went on to quickly chime back in. Oh, this is it. And while we wait to see who walks away from this, it's better if we go and prepare ourselves now, just in case we need to have to go and fuse against him and battle against Lord Tigron for a second time, as we spin on to then immediately chime back in. Well, now I wouldn't go and be too hasty to go and fuse just yet if I were you, and especially not until we find out as to what is to ultimately come from this. However, while I will go and say that if it were not for Gohan's training with Lord Beerus earlier, then I think it would be safe to say that Lord Tigron would have inevitably mauled him out there, which is also why I ultimately urge you both to just hold off from interfering for just a moment, as I do ultimately believe that we'll be getting our answers sooner than we actually think, as with neither individual looking to let up against the other in fighting for their survival to see in fact which one of them will be the last one standing by the very end, was when Goku then went on to chime in. Oh, this is just amazing, but even while they both appear to be letting it all go out there and seeing which one of them is going to be the last one standing, my only concern is if Lord Tigron is secretly holding out on way more power than what he's shown having to use out there against Gohan, as Vegeta went on to then respond. Well, I don't think that he honestly is, because I want you to go and look a little closer out there and see for yourself in case you have any doubts about where this is going, Kakarot. And that is because if that God of Destruction truly was hiding a lot more than what we expect, then I think it's safe to say that this battle would have already been over with that destroyer overtaking Gohan during the middle of all of this. But since it doesn't appear to look that way, then I think it's safe to assume that this is all that Lord Tigron has to offer out there against him. Otherwise, Gohan would have been defeated by now, and so there is still that chance that Gohan just might be a little stronger than Lord Tigron, which would also explain on why he hasn't faltered yet, with Goku responding, hey, I think you're right, because look, maybe it's just me here, but I think Gohan's actually shown pushing Lord Tigron back some more, because I think he's starting to lose some ground out there. Oh yes, come on now, son, for I know that you have the power to win this, especially if you were shown having to come this far and becoming who you are after giving it your all to train under Lord Beerus. And so I know that you have what it takes to muscle through that destroyer strength and overtake him, Gohan. Good, that's right, Saiyan. Beerus went on to then chime back in. Do as you were shown having to do against me and deliver onto him your absolute fullest. I see. Well, while I find their battle to be one that is quite fascinating to watch unfold, Ligor went on to address Beerus by then chiming in, it is only now clear that with neither one willing to yield on their own, they have given everything they could without crossing the line where true destruction lies for either of them, as it is also very rare to have seen a mortal stand up to a god of destruction in ways which both Gohan and Broly were shown having to do. But even so, are you able to see it now too, Ligor questions? For a clear winner is starting to emerge down there between them, and it should be very obvious on on who has the upper hand down there in this contest as it reaches its final moments. For your mortal warriors have most definitely proven to us on why they are more than worthy of deserving to stand among our kind, but Ligor continues, while we watch their powers along with their ambitions collide, we will now find out on just which one of them will truly remain as the last warrior standing, and so now watch very closely as we are about to see it happen in a matter of a few moments, to which as Gohan was shown now having to give it his all, it had only become painfully clear to Gohan now that he had to give it his all in order to walk away from this battle in one piece, as Gohan then went on to quickly shout, "This will be as far as I will allow for you to go here against me in this battle, and so I hope that you go and take this as confirmation that us mortals from the 7th will never go down without putting up a good fight against you. And now, full power attack!" As Tigron went on to then put up his guard by responding, "Why you? Well, as good of a fight as you may have displayed, even this attack alone, while giving it your all, will not win you the day, Saiyan." To which it was only moments later, with the gigantic explosion then shown having to take place as Gohan went on to put up his guard and having to shield himself, was when Gohan then went on to continue, "Oh, there we go. Oh man, what a powerful shockwave behind that intense explosion. But I just know that it had to have done the trick. Oh man." As that one just nearly went and took every little bit of power that I had in order to push that right through his attack. And while it wasn't something that I thought was going to come easy, Gohan continues upon being shown putting his hands on his knees, there is just no way that he should still be shown having to stand after taking an attack like that head on the way he did. And so I just gotta be sure. But then it was only shockingly enough to Gohan's surprise, as Tigron was indeed shown standing and having to address Gohan, was when Tigron went on to then respond, "I wouldn't be so quick to celebrate anything here if I were you right now, Saiyan. For you may have wounded me for the time being while catching me by surprise with an attack of such great magnitude, but let us not forget about the agreement that we had made, because in case you may have thought that this battle was over, then I'd hate to have to break it to you, but just in case your eyes are a bit blinded by the beating that you have sustained, I'm still standing, Saiyan. And while you are the first mortal to ever draw blood from me in a battle like this," Tigron continues, "you will undoubtedly come to find out that you will also now be the last. For even though I knew that you were vastly different when compared to your allies, understand that even while at your absolute best here against me, even your best wasn't ultimately good enough to bring me down and keep me down for the long haul, Gohan. And so while I commend your bravery and acknowledge your warrior spirit along with your strength to stand up to a god of destruction in battle, as long as I am still shown standing before you, this fight is far from over." As Gohan then went on to respond, "Oh man, there's just no way. How much can this guy seemingly go and take? Because there's no way that he should still be standing up to me right now, unless, yeah, I think I can see it. He's struggling to stand. Well, you can quit pretending to want to go and still continue this fight," Gohan says, "because I know that you wouldn't be able to take much more of that again, and so just know that I'm not going to stop, and nor am I going to waver until you go down first." But then, in a bizarre twist of fate, as Tigron's knee was shown having to touch the ground first and having to falter with Gohan having to quickly follow, this had only now become a clear-cut indication that the fight was indeed now over, as Goku then went on to chime in, "Hey, wait, are you guys seeing what I'm seeing out there too? Because if Gohan's conditions were agreed upon prior to their battle, then that would ultimately mean that with Lord Tigron shown dropping down on his knee first, then..."
Hey, shout out to Gohan for always being the one to put up the best fight. Shout out to Gohan for putting up a good fight, man.
Gohan by default should hereby be the winner of this contest, as Vegeta went on to respond, yes, but look, because that God of Destruction isn't the only one to drop down to a knee, but even then, given how Gohan was just shown having to do so moments after the Destroyer did, then by proxy, this battle should officially be over since Gohan was clearly the last man standing among them both by the very end before dropping, and so because of this, Gohan should be declared the winner, as Beerus went on to then respond, wait now for just a second here, did you know that this battle was going to end in Gohan's what the? He's gone, but he was just standing right beside me, and so how was it that he was able to move that fast before I was able to even see him vanish on me like this, Beerus questions? No, for I am certain of it by now if I already wasn't before, and so I know that there is something more to that Destroyer than what he appears to be letting off out there, as whatever that is and whatever it is that he is hiding, Beerus continues, is something that I plan on finding out for myself one way or another. To which it was only back down below with Ligor shown having to appear behind Tigron and addressing him following the initial stages of this battle was when Ligor went on to then respond, though I can understand that you are still willing to go and continue this contest against the Saiyan given how I can still sense your urge to want to go and fight back despite the two of you being shown wavering, it would be best for you to go and just accept the outcome of this battle given how you went on to agree to the Saiyan's conditions since this wasn't going to be a fight to the finish by the end of it, and so while this does fall as a technical defeat due to how you were shown dropping down to a knee before the Saiyan did, Ligor continues, you have nothing left to prove out here against these mortals since I'm more than certain that they already know as to where you stand among them. Well, take it for what it's worth, for even though you were also shown having to drop down to your knees, Beerus went on to then appear behind Gohan by responding, there is no need for you to go and try and continue this battle, for you have already proven yourself, Saiyan, with Gohan responding, Lord Beerus, but do you truly think that this is over? Because, well, from the looks of it, I don't think that God of Destruction is looking to call it a day here against me now, with Ligor having to then respond, the mortal did well, Lord Tigron, but I can still sense a burning desire for you to want to go and continue, and so now will you? With Tigron responding, well, be that as it may, I'm not finished with him just yet, and so just you wait right here in the meantime. With Beerus then having to chime back in, he's coming your way, mortal. Take caution in what is about to happen here, but do not go and make the first move here against him unless he does, Saiyan, for you'd want to go and be ready for anything just in case, and so now let's just wait and see. But then, it was only just upon with Gohan being shown putting up his guard, as surprisingly enough, Tigron went on to extend his arm towards Gohan's direction, was when Tigron then went on to respond, to say that I'm impressed would be an understatement, Saiyan, for I may have been the first to falter in this battle, with you following right behind me and doing the same moments after the facts. Just know that this does not diminish the respect that you have gained from me here today, to which as Tigron was then shown having to finally shake Gohan's hand, was when Tigron then went on to continue, for your tenacity along with your warrior spirit has shown me that you are not only worthy of being called an ally alongside us, but you are also one who is worthy enough in being called an equal, and while I know that the outcome could have been different if we had continued since I wasn't willing to stop where we were, I think it's safe to say that you have earned this victory today, Saiyan, but do bear this in mind, for one day we will spar again, only this time, the outcome of our next battle will be completely different than what it was that happened here today, Saiyan, with Gohan responding, well, although there was never any real bad blood here between us, I am honored to have battled against such a formidable opponent such as yourself, because you certainly, of course, didn't go and make things any easier for me out there while fighting you, but while I share the same level of respect for both you and Lord Ligor, Gohan continues, thank you for going and giving me a chance and showing you on what my universe is truly all about, to which as Beerus was then shown redirecting his focus towards Gohan, was when Beerus then went on to respond, you did exceptionally well out there against such a foe, and while it is rare for anyone to be given a destroyer's respect through combat, just know that not only do you have Lord Tigron's respect, but you also have mine as well, Saiyan, with Gohan responding, oh, well, thank you, Lord Beerus, and while I know that Lord Tigron wanted to keep going as I did, I'm just glad that I was able to make use of the training that I did alongside with you and putting it to the test out here against someone other than yourself, and so thank you. Well, you know what that means now, don't you, Vegeta? Goku then went on to address Vegeta by responding, because with both Broly and Gohan now lapping us in power, I think that we ought to start getting back into shape and fast once we get back, because not for nothing, but it looks like we have a whole lot of training to do if we hope to keep up with these guys in the long run, with Vegeta responding, well, obviously, Kakarot, because I don't plan on staying far behind either of them for too long, and so you better either keep up once we go and get back, or just simply go and stay out of my way while I train, because by the end of it, I won't have you go and try to slow me down, especially not with all that we have experienced here either here today, as Tigron went on to then walk away by responding, though out of the four of them, the mortals who go by Broly and Gohan have proven their standing in case we would need them, while the other two who go by Goku and Vegeta still unfortunately need much improvement, as I think that this should conclude any more doubts that we may have had, since we now know as to where they all stand, with Ligor responding, very well then, for let us go and heal you in the meantime, while we also go and inform them all on what it was that we had learned before having to send them back to their respective world. But then, it was only just upon with both gods of destruction being shown having to take their leave before Beerus had gone as far as to stomp his foot down in addressing them, was when Beerus went on to address Lord Ligor by responding, now I wouldn't be so quick to just walk away from here if I were you, God of Destruction, and so don't think for 1 second that I haven't noticed, because I've been observing you very closely ever since you first stepped foot onto my planet when you did, and since that time, I can't help but notice that there's something off about you, something different, Beerus continues, something unusual, but undeniably interesting nonetheless, Lord Ligor, for I have been around long enough to recognize when someone isn't who they appear to be, and I'm telling you right now that you are nothing like the other gods of destruction, for there appears to be something far more to you than what you are.
Is Beerus about to give Lord Ligor that work? Let's find out.
Are letting on, and I intend to find out on exactly what that is one way or another, Destroyer. For you carry yourself differently than the rest. Your energy, your aura, it's unlike any other Destroyer in our line of duty, and I can't stand on not knowing as to why. And what exactly is this God of Destruction trying to suggest by making such openly vague statements like this? Tigron went on to then question, unless, does he happen to know, with Ligor responding, that he may, but there's only one other way for us to find out, and so very well then, God of Destruction, then if you find my presence to be one that raises concern, then what exactly is it that you propose here that'll go and put your mind at ease, since you appear to be rather extremely fascinated by something, and so because of this sudden curiosity, I will hereby offer you a chance to air your frustrations out to me, while you also lay out your solution, with Beerus responding, well, early on, moments after stepping foot into this universe, I had the pleasure of speaking with Whis about a certain provision that you may have not made use of just yet, something regarding newly appointed gods of destruction, where I was reminded of the white flag rule that had been given to us, Beerus continues, which is one that allows for a newly appointed destroyer to challenge or directly train with another god of destruction, and since I've already been given approval in getting my rematch against Universe 13's God of Destruction, Lord Reno, you can rest assured that I had went on to make sure to go and remind him on just who the real dominant destroyer between us truly was when I defeated him. But what about you, God of Destruction? For I suspect that you haven't used your opportunity yet to enable this perk just yet, now have you? Because trust me, I can tell. And since I know that you haven't, then why don't you go and extend the same courtesy here to me, and go and take this opportunity while I offer it to you to use this extension on over against me. So what do you say, Beerus questions?
Hey, it's about to get real serious.
This doesn't have to go and be a death battle, but rather more of a simple exhibition between two governing and extremely powerful gods of destruction, and so what do you say? Wait, is Lord Beerus actually serious with what he wants to go and do right now? Vegeta went on to then question. He wants to spar and go one-on-one against that Lion Destroyer, as in right here, right now? Yeah, well, and I think he's serious about it too, Vegeta Goku then went on to respond, but what exactly does Lord Beerus mean by what he just said? As I always figured that there was something more to Lord Ligor when Broly and I had first met him on Lord Beerus' planet, but is Lord Beerus able to maybe see something more to him that even we ourselves aren't able to fully see? Surely he can't be serious enough to actually want to go and do this now, does he? Tigron then went on to question. Because with his suspicions aside, what does this destroyer expect to actually try and gain out of this by waging a battle here against you? For has his curiosity driven him mad at the thought of what he thinks that he knows, or does he actually intend to gauge himself here against you in order to see where he stands among the best? Because moreover, now isn't the time when we have other matters to worry about, Tigron continues, such as the possibility of there having to be rogue destroyers along with the potential for there to be a massive tournament that is held in the future here against us. But then, it was only just during the middle of Tigron having to be shown expressing himself to Ligor as Ligor went on to interrupt him by answering was when Ligor then went on to quickly respond, "Worry not about the situation, Lord Tigron, because if Lord Beerus wants to challenge me and if he wants to learn more about what lies beneath my surface, then I will not go and deny him. For this also might be something that can further reinforce our trust for this universe," Ligor went on to continue, "and so I will go and hereby grant him this moment to go and hold an exhibition bout against me, but you, on the other hand, you should go and leave this one up to me and observe as we engage. Take note of every move and every shift in power that is made, because surely enough there are lessons to be learned here, for once this is settled and over with here between us, then I will further go on to take my leave and speak with the Grand Priest in matters of gaining further approval to go and continue to train alongside with you, as I will make sure that our training will go and resume after our business with the 7th is hereby over and done with," Ligor continues, "so that way we can only from that point then go and inform them all on most of the things that you and I were told about that they should go and know," as Whis went on to appear next to Gohan by then responding, "Well, that was an incredible performance that you went out there to go and display, Gohan, because not only does this go as far as to show off the fruits of your training with Lord Beerus, but for the time being, since we're already here, I think that it would be best for us to go and watch from the sidelines, since I think that things are about to become very intense out here between these destroyers, and so now because of this, let us go and take our leave now and watch this bout from a safe enough distance then, shall we? Now, I was told that your instincts were far sharper than most of the other gods of destruction when it came down to figuring things out that go far beyond the surface level," Ligor went on to then respond, "as you are not essentially wrong in your judgment here about me, but while I am not malicious in my nature, but rather hold more of a neutral stance on the prospects of life and existence itself, there is indeed more to my nature than what I've allowed myself to openly reveal, but heed my words," Ligor continues, "though I do not view yourself nor your universe as adversaries against our cause, I want you to make no mistake about how I will be treating you here during this battle, for I will be treating you as such during this contest, and so while the passage of time flows differently between our universes," Ligor continues, "do not go and mistake my newly appointed position as weakness, as that couldn't be further from the truth. And while I am also curious to see on just how much you've grown since the last time that you and I have crossed paths, I just hope that you understand that I expect to see nothing more than your absolute best," with Beerus responding, "though while I don't assume that you hold any maliciousness towards myself or towards my universe and its mortal warriors, my only curiosity stems from what I am able to sense that's flowing deep within your very spirit, because I also don't intend to fight you with the intention to go as far as to destroy you either, nor do I view either of you destroyers as direct adversaries, but what I will say is that my only takeaway is getting down to the bottom of why you appear to be so calm but yet so feared and respected by our kind, as I also intend on finding out more about what it was that you had mentioned to me earlier," Beerus continues, "and so you may go and take that how you will, destroyer," to which as Whis was then shown having to heal Gohan was when Goku then went on to respond, "Way to go out there, Gohan, for I couldn't be any prouder in seeing how far you've come come since the very beginning, and so we all couldn't be any happier to see how much you've grown, with Gohan responding, "Well, thank you, Dad, as Lord Tigron was far stronger and way more difficult to deal with than I thought that he would be, but what I will say is that now that Lord Beerus is calling out to spar against Lord Ligor, I'm actually a bit more worried about what this fight will have in store for us, because I have a feeling that this is about to be a far more intense battle than how even mine was shown being out there against Lord Tigron, and so we'll see." Well, I'm glad to know that we are both on the same page here when it comes down to our positions, Ligor went on to then point out to Beerus by responding, and so just know that we are destroyers with responsibilities that go far beyond any mere rivalry. However, in this battle, I will go and treat you as much of a worthy adversary as any other, for this is not about proving who is superior over the other in this contest. At least it is not for me. However, God of Destruction, what I will say is that I am more curious to know on just how powerful your will is when battling against another destroyer, for I want to see on just how much you've grown since suffering defeat by the hands of Lord Reno, along with your sudden and swift victory over him. For I can also go and safely tell you that I am not Lord Reno, and I will not be so easily taken down as you may assume that I might be. And so for your sake, I hope that you are ready, because I most definitely am. And so now let us prepare and begin. As with Universe 7's God of Destruction Beerus now preparing himself to do battle against Universe 20's God of Destruction Ligor, was when Vegeta went on to then respond, "I don't like this, as there is something about that God of Destruction that leaves me to believe that he is far stronger than either one of us can imagine that he would be, which ultimately isn't a good thing when considering on who he's about to go on and fight." As Goku then went on to chime in, "So then you can sense it too then, can't you? For it's a strange feeling that I'm also sensing, but I just hope that those two don't go and overdo it out there. Otherwise, it'll more than likely spell disaster for us here as well, especially if we end up getting caught in the middle of all of that as well." As Angel General then went on to spawn in by responding, "Well, I wouldn't grow too concerned with what is about to take place here between them if I were you, for Lord Ligor does not intend for this battle to spill over anywhere else aside from keeping it directly contained for where it needs to be, and so I wouldn't worry too much about this coming conflict here if I were you." As Beerus went on to then prepare himself in battling by responding, "Now before we engage in this battle, there is something that I need to know, and I demand for you to tell me here and now, because while I am not one to pry into the affairs of other destroyers, this here is a little different, and so now tell me," Beerus says, "you went on to mention something very vague about there being some kind of a tournament on the horizon, along with having to mention something about these so-called dark gods who just may possibly go on to exist, and so because of this, I now want to know directly from the source, what exactly was it that both you and Lord Tigron had learned through your angels that had raised such concern, and what was it that had prompted you to begin scouting the multiverse and categorizing which universe was considered to be a friend, and which universe would go and be considered a foe? What did you learn?" Beerus went on to then question, as this behavior isn't typical to that of a God of Destruction, and so I want to know just a little more about what you heard before you and I can proceed in engaging our power. And so now why don't you go and do us both that favor and start talking about what you learned, Destroyer, with Ligor responding, "Very well then, God of Destruction, for it started during our search as Lord Tigron and I had scanned across the multiverse with our angels. We shortly soon after had encountered something very disturbing, for it began with a sudden interruption on the angelic staffs with the strange interference, as it was only through this our angels had briefly caught a glimpse just for a moment into something massive taking place," Ligor continues, "for what it was that we were told can only be described as a tournament having to take place, one that was far greater than anyone could have ever have seen, as it would only go as far as to remind me of the Tournament of Power that was shown having to take place before my time, only this one was on a much larger scale," Ligor says, "for every universe, perhaps even every reality had appeared to have been represented during this omniversal event, but what caught our attention the most wasn't just the event itself," Ligor continues, "but we also noticed strange anomalies within this unknown world, anomalies to which had only resembled some kind of gods of destruction, only these didn't seem to originate from any of the current universes that we happen to know of, which is why we wanted to go as far as to distinguish on which universes were on the side of good and which universes were on the side of darkness," with Beerus responding, "Wait, so the
So that just means it's some more gods out there that ain't been revealed yet.
Foreshadowing that both you and Lord Tigron had been told about just so happens to involve some kind of an interdimensional tournament that seemingly spans across multiple realities that goes far beyond our present comprehension, and with participants who also appear to resemble that of other unknown gods of destruction who originate from other worlds far beyond our own. So now I see on why the two of you were scouting each of our universes, for you both wanted to go and see on which universes can go and be trusted, and which universes you needed to go and watch out for just in case an event like this were to take place, didn't you? But of course, as Vegeta went on to also quickly chime back in, wait a second, another tournament similar to the first tournament of power that we had competed in? So then those Veer creatures in Universe 16 were right. So that explains the timeline which I saw where I mastered my Ultra Ego form, with Goku responding, hold on, did Lord Ligor also just mention there being dark gods of destruction that were shown being present at the tournament too? And they don't appear to originate from this timeline or any other known multiverse either, because if not, then where did they come from? With Beerus responding, an omniversal tournament with possible corrupted gods of destruction who are a part of it, you say? Well, now you have my attention, and while I find your discovery to be a very intriguing one, now I want to go and find out more from what you were told, to which as Beerus was then shown dashing towards Ligor was when Ligor went on to then respond, well, in order for you to go and know the rest, then let us first see on where this battle will take us both, because while I welcome the challenge in seeing where you currently stand when compared to me, heed my words, Destroyer, for this battle will not be ending in your favor no matter how much you think that it will. And so now let us proceed, to which as Beerus was then shown attempting to strike Ligor, with Ligor now shown dodging each and every single one of Beerus's punches, was when Goku went on to then chime back in. I don't really know about this one, you guys. What do you think here, Whis? Do you think that Lord Beerus is going to be able to pull off a victory here against Lord Ligor out there? With Whis responding, well, usually I can already tell on where a battle might go based on who and what is shown having to take place in accordance to what I already know, but, well, this battle, however, might be a little tricky, Whis continues, and especially since not much is even known about these two newly appointed gods of destruction, and while I have no doubt that they are both incredibly powerful in their own unique ways, what I do believe is that in order for Lord Beerus to truly walk away from this battle with a victory, then I have no doubt that he will have to go all out and use his full power against Lord Ligor if he wishes to best him during this contest, because even while they are both currently engaged, I surely don't believe that it'll be an easy one for Lord Beerus to win either, as Ligor went on to then respond, though your eyes are very sharp and with your instincts very aware in pinpointing your openings in order to try and better your opponent, but as sharp as you may be, I can only assure you by saying that you are not going to be sharp enough, nor will you be responsive enough to be able to compete against me, Destroyer. And so now tell me, have you had enough, or do you still wish to engage me, because I will only continue to increase the pain the longer you wish for this contest to last between us, Lord Beerus. Well, if that's how you intend on doing this, Beerus went on to then quickly respond upon being shown leaping on up and creating an energy blast within his hands, then while you claim to still hold the edge over me during this battle, then allow for me to go and quickly change the tides between us, then, Destroyer. But then, it was only just before Beerus had even realized, with Ligor being shown dashing on up and having to knee Beerus in the stomach and preventing him from charging up his attack, was when Ligor then went on to respond, and I hope that you were able to come to realize that as quick as you may appear to be, and as responsive as you may try to appear in attempting to attack me, you will always, with this being one of many examples, come to find out that even your fastest responses and your best counterattacks will not work here against me. And what makes you grow so sure of yourself in this contest and already assuming that you have me all figured out, Destroyer? Beerus questions, with Ligor responding, well, simple, and one that you will soon come to find out, but while you refuse anything less than by having me show you the latter extent of what my power is truly made of, then even this I will grant you, for I want you to truly understand on why I am the way I am when compared to the rest. And so while your attempts are extreme but also expected, Ligor continues upon being shown knocking Beerus down onto the ground, and especially when given the nature of who you are by your title, you are truly an exceptional and worthy opponent, and as your fighting spirit is far more in tune with the nature of who you are at your core. But no matter how many times you stand back up and try, I am not going to let you push forward with any of your counterattacks here against me, Lord Beerus, for you may in fact be driven towards victory, but every time you rise, I will be standing right there ready to bring you back down again, for I do just so happen in fact respect your will to continue, but even you must realize that there are limits to what you can endure, Destroyer, and while you may assume that you will be strong enough to outlast this next attack, maybe now you will go on to fully understand what it was that I said the hard way and stand down, to which as Beerus was then shown putting his guard up was when Beerus then went on to respond, "Oh, curse him, no, I will not break and I will not allow for him to best me, as I'll rather die before I let that happen." But then, it was only just then within that very moment as all 5 of Ligor's energy blasts were then shown having to slam directly into Beerus was when Goku then went on to chime back in. So man, did you guys just see that too? Because as crazy as it is to see Lord Beerus be treated like this in a battle, I guess this only goes to show on how strong that other God of Destruction is, because there is no doubt that his speed, his accuracy, along with his power are on a totally different level, and so this isn't looking good. Whoa, he didn't even try to dodge it because Lord Beerus knew that he wasn't going to be fast enough to try and avoid those in time before they landed, but how bad is the damage that Beerus had taken is the real question now, Gohan says, with Whis chiming back in. Well, I'm not quite sure on the extent of the damage done, but this certainly doesn't look good for Lord Beerus out there, I'm afraid. To which it was only just upon with the smoke now beginning to settle beneath Ligor as Ligor went on to then proceed by looking on down was when Ligor then went on to respond, "Now while your pride along with your driven nature are most definitely very admirable, there is no doubt in my mind that your efforts deserve to be acknowledged here during our contest, for I share a deep respect for you in giving me the best that you can possibly offer. However, God of Destruction, you may not want to hear it, but I believe that it is time for you to stand down, for I share no true desire on hurting you any further," Ligor continues, "as that is the level of respect that I share towards you as a destroyer, for there is no such shame in admitting when you've reached your limits, as even the strongest must know when it's time to concede, for this isn't about dishonor, but it's more about knowing when enough is enough, as you have already proven yourself to be far stronger than how it was when I had originally met you, and so it is for the best," Ligor proceeds, "for there is no shame in giving in so that you may go and live to fight another day, God of Destruction, and so you should know this better than anyone by now, for you are indeed a noble and fearsome destroyer, and one that I would gladly stand alongside by in any battle that we find ourselves in, and so while you have proven your standing to me as being a fearless and unrelenting God of Destruction, just as your reputation had described you in being, and so while there is still the option to go and do so, it is better for us to cease this battle now, for there is nothing left for us to prove," as Beerus was then shown having to emerge from the smoke by then responding, "No, I can't just go and simply relinquish my status against you like this, for I am not without continuing this fight, and I am not going to stop now just because you managed to catch me by surprise, and so do not treat me like I'm some kind of an amateur here, Destroyer." Well, this is not a matter of me looking down on you as some kind of an amateur, God of Destruction, Ligor responds, but this is more about knowing when it's wise to stand down at the face of a greater challenge, that you will ultimately therefore grow to become stronger and carry on to fight another day, as you have proven to us that you are not just the God who is worthy of every title that you earn, Ligor continues, but by showing me your best, you have also proven that your heart knows no fear, and even while insisting to continue to wage battle here against me, which is why I believe that I have seen enough here today, for I am hoping that you will only continue to grow more and more powerful as time goes on, so that way you may be ready for once we need. That's far enough there, God of Destruction, Beerus went on to then stick his arm out by quickly interrupting Ligor and responding, and so now don't go and get ahead of yourself here just yet, because what I would like to know is just who exactly told you that I was finished, Beerus Beerus says, because while you may have assumed that this was going to be the truest extent of what my power is fully capable of, you can think again, because while I realize that I am no match for you the way I am at the moment, there is but one other very important detail that you should be very much aware of, Destroyer, with Ligor responding, now while I recognize your passion to want to go and still continue this contest, you are making a very grave mistake by insisting to continue, Lord Beerus. The only mistake that I've made, Beerus went on to then respond upon being shown having to stand back up, is not considering on using this power from the very moment that we started to engage, but while I also acknowledge your strength as being far greater than what I could have anticipated for it to be, I will not kneel before your power until I've shown you mine. And so for what it's worth, and while you are unlike any of the other destroyers that I faced before, I will now hereby show you on why I'm not either, with Ligor responding, interesting. For I can sense an immediate shift within your spirit along with your power, and so whatever it was that you were hiding from me during our battle, I will hereby welcome and allow to transpire, as I am not only ready to see this for myself, but I'm eager to also engage against it. To which Beerus did not go on to waste any more time, because with the gigantic ore explosion then being shown taking place was when Gohan went on to then chime back in. I knew that Lord Beerus was going to go as far as to pull this out of the bag against Lord Ligor, but I didn't expect that he would have to need this so soon out there against him, which only goes as far as to speak volumes on how powerful that God of Destruction must be out there for him to use this. Oh, incredible, Vegeta went on to then quickly respond, but since when was Lord Beerus able to generate this much power from? And more importantly is, what exactly is he about to go and show us? With Goku responding, so this must have been what Lord Beerus had went on to discover when training against Gohan. And if this is going to be anything like we think that it's going to be, then whatever Lord Beerus is about to go out of his way to reveal out there against Lord Ligor is undoubtedly going to be his absolute strongest, and if that's the case, then I think that we're all in for a ride here, guys. Wait a second, Vini, God of Destruction, Tigron went on to then also respond. Are you sensing what I'm sensing coming from Lord Beerus out there as well? Because surely this isn't what we both assumed for this to actually be now, could it? For if this is true, then that would mean that he would be the first among the original destroyers to actually wield such a power, and so can it really be true? Well, your shock comes as much as mine does, Angel Vini went on to then respond, for I do believe that whatever Lord Beerus is about to go and unveil to Lord Ligor will be exactly what you assume for it to be, Lord Tigron, as Ligor went on to then respond, so this is what you've been hiding, for I should have known that you would try and push yourself to go this far, as I was told that you were always one to go as far as to push the boundaries of your limits into ascending beyond what most would consider to be impossible, but even now I did not anticipate for you to have gone this far in seeking a far greater evolution, but I am, however, honestly glad that you did, because I was expecting for you to have taken my advice when I first met you back on your planet when we did, and now that I can see that you have taken my words to heart, the time has now come for you to show me on exactly what it is that you are capable of in battle now, because now that I can see that you've went and achieved the impossible, I want to hereby see the full and unrestricted depths of what your full power is truly made of, Ligor continues, and especially now that you will be fighting me while at the absolute peak of your true and ultimate power, Lord Beerus, and so because of that, I await to see on what you are capable of in battle, to which as Beerus' transformation was now shown being complete, it was only within that very moment where Beerus had gone as far as to now unveil his ultimate ultra form for the first time against Ligor, as Beerus went on to then respond, now that's much better, for I knew that from the very beginning once I started to fight you that conventional tactics really wouldn't work very well here against someone like you, for your combat prowess and your hyper sense of movement awareness is, dare I even say, far more effective than my own, but since you are far stronger than I originally had assumed for you to be, it was only right for me to have gone as far as to go all out here against you, since I now know that this will be what it'll take for me to ensure my victory against you here, God of Destruction. For what you are seeing take place before you is a level of power that even the gods themselves struggle to comprehend, Beerus continues, let alone even going as far as to try to attain themselves, for this Ultra form is an amalgamated power that combines both the nature of my godhood along with the principles of Ultra Instinct in giving birth to a new and far more mightier fighting form than ever before. And while you are, with the exception of Gohan, the second to have now come face to face with such a power as this one, I will now go as far as to assure you here and now that although you may have bested me from within the moment, there will be no amount of force that you will be able to dish out that will prevent the annihilation that you have coming, God of Destruction. And since I now know that this was what you wanted to go and see from me, allow for me to go and now show you the very power which went on to cripple Lord Reno during our rematch, along with going as far as to show you a power which even for a god as mighty as yourself will not be strong enough to go and handle on their own. As with Beerus now having to complete his initial transformation by unveiling his new Hakaishin Ultra form to Ligor for the first time, was when Goku and the others went on to then chime in. Are you guys seeing this? Lord Beerus, he has an entirely new and different transformation, with Vegeta responding, I don't believe it. And so this was Lord Beerus's true power that he must have went on to discover and achieve while training with Gohan. But what is that? And why does it feel as though he is also wielding the same kind of heat that Ultra Instinct gives off when you're wielding it? As Gohan went on to then ask Whis, hey, so what do you think, Whis? With Lord Beerus now at his absolute best out there against Lord Ligor, do you think that it'll be enough to win him the battle? With Whis responding, well, although I would usually go as far as to say yes, for a power like this should be more than enough to be able to handle whatever Lord Beerus encounters, but I would say that it would be best for us to wait and find out for ourselves before we go and assume that Lord Beerus will easily win this. As Ligor then went on to chime back in, well, for I must say that I'm quite pleasantly surprised, Lord Beerus, for I can see that you have gone to extraordinary lengths in reaching the heights of power that most gods would only ever dream of achieving. However, while this Ultra form of yours is very impressive to witness from across the battlefield, don't think for 1 second that this newfound strength of yours will deter me from winning, God of Destruction, as this only goes on to fuel my resolve even more, as I do not fear your capabilities and I won't back down from challenging them either, for I will carry on in testing every ounce of power that you have awakened, and I will do so by matching you accordingly. With Ultra Beerus responding, well, be that as it may, and while you appear to be very sure of yourself and having what it takes to compete with what I've become now, understand that just like Lord Reno had to ultimately find out firsthand for himself, that I am about to go and reveal to you on why I am among the strongest gods among all 20 of our kind, as well as having you suffer your first major defeat by the hands of a far more cunning and far more experienced God of Destruction, Lord Ligor. And if you are every bit as good as you claim for yourself to be here against me, Ultra Beerus went on to then dash towards Ligor by then responding, then I offer you this one and only final chance to go and prove your worth here against me and show me as to what you are truly made of by giving it your all. To which it was only just then with Ligor then being shown having to attempt to strike Beerus, with Beerus all of a sudden being shown having to vanish and reappearing behind him, was when Goku then went on to question, whoa, just look at Lord Beerus move out there. So wait, is this Lord Beerus's true power then, Whis? Because why does it also seem like Lord Beerus is moving in a similar way to how I move when using my Ultra Instinct? With Whis responding, well, what you are witnessing right now is not only the culmination of Lord Beerus's true power, but this is also the embodiment of Lord Beerus's destructive nature combined with the teachings of Ultra Instinct that I've instilled in him over countless years prior, as this form represents not only the peak of his potential that goes far beyond anything that he could have achieved in his prime, but Lord Beerus now ranks among the highest echelons among the gods, perhaps even as the strongest among them all while wielding this newly discovered power that he fully went on to unlock and use against Gohan. However, I would rather wait to see on how exactly this is going to go, because unless Lord Ligor has something unexpected in store for Lord Beerus that will go on to match him, then it would only be best for us to wait and see on how this will go before we grow sure of our predetermined decisions, with Vegeta then having to question, so wait, are you saying that this newly crowned destroyer may still have a chance in matching up to and even overpowering Lord Beerus' new form? But how can that even be when it looks as though the battle seems to be shifting within Lord Beerus' favor, with Whis responding, well, that is because gods of destruction are very unpredictable by their very nature, Vegeta, which also means that anything can happen between now and whenever their battle is called to an end, and so that is why they should never be underestimated, for you may never know on what one of them could have up their sleeve, to which it was only then just upon with Ultra Beerus being shown going on the offensive, with Ligor being shown trying his best in defending himself, was when Beerus then went on to quickly respond, and I must give you credit and say that you are holding up far better than how Lord Reno was shown having to hold up against me when facing off against such a power, but my only question to you now is how long do you believe that you can keep this going for, Destroyer, because you and I both know, Beerus proceeds upon being shown punching Ligor in the face, that the longer you try and attempt to continue this battle against me, the worse this is going to go and get for you, Destroyer. And so now what do you say? Do you wish to give up, or would you still rather continue? With Ligor responding, oh, don't grow overconfident here, Destroyer, because so as long as I am able to draw breath in this duel here against you, Ligor proceeds upon being shown kneeing Beerus in the face, then you and I are very far from finished here, Lord Beerus, because just like yourself, if you haven't already figured it out by now, that I would much rather fall and completely be crushed in battle while maintaining my honor than ever willingly go and give up against another god of destruction. Well, good, Beerus quickly responds upon being shown double axe handling Ligor across the face, just as I expected that you would, and so that's the spirit, god of destruction. But although you are brave and still wanting to go and continue, this will only continue to grow worse for you the longer we battle. To which it was only then just upon with Ligor being shown on the ground and having to notice Beerus firing off multiple energy blasts was when Ligor then went on to quickly respond, so he's going for broke since he probably knows that he cannot hope to maintain that power for very long, which is more than likely why he is resorting to wanting me to back down now, for this must be the reason as to why. Well, very well then, god of destruction, but I know that there must be a reason on why you are so quick to have me back down from this battle, Ligor went on to then dash towards Beerus by responding, and while I have my doubts on how long you are able to maintain this newly discovered power of yours, I do not plan on stopping until I see this for myself here against you, and so I will not yield no matter what it is that you try and do here against me. Interesting, Beerus responds upon Ligor being shown knocking away all of Beerus' blast by them being shown getting right next to him. So you believe that stamina is going to be my weakness now, do you? Well, I'd hate to have to inform you like this, but even this itself will not work since I have already hardened my stamina reserves to far greater heights. What the? Well, we'll go and see about that one, god of destruction, Ligor was then shown teleporting behind Beerus, for I will be the judge of where this battle of ours is going to go, and so just you wait. To which as Ligor was then shown having to bite down on Beerus' shoulder was when Goku went on to then chime in, oh gosh, well I know that one has to more than likely hurt, but man, some of these destroyers sure do love to bite down on their enemies until they've ripped them all to pieces now, don't they? With Vegeta chiming in, yeah, well don't go and remind me, Kakarot, because you weren't the one who mostly had to go and deal with such outcomes during our battles, since you on the other hand were too busy nearly getting knocked around by them and almost being shown getting put to sleep. But then it was only just upon with Ligor being shown attempting to ragdoll Beerus around, with Beerus shown simultaneously punching Ligor, was when Beerus went on to then respond, though you are quite the opponent and a difficult god of destruction to deal with in a one-on-one battle, and if I hadn't went and revealed to you the fruits of my true nature after spending the time that I did to train and getting to where I currently am, then from this point moving forward it should be clear that there isn't going to be a single move that you can go and make here against me that I won't already see coming. And since the gap between our power should be more than enough to tell you as to where we currently stand from within this moment, I have you dead to rights, and no matter what you try and do, I will already be 2 steps ahead of you, god of destruction, for you had went and fought well, but this is where it ends. Beerus went on to then knock Ligor away by elbowing him in the stomach, and if there there was any doubt in having you question my tenacity in helping you wage war against these so-called gods of destruction, Ultra Beerus responds upon being shown firing a blast, then allow for this moment to be further proof on why that shouldn't be the case, for I am not the same destroyer both mentally and physically as you may have remembered me in being destroyer, to which as a giant explosion was then shown taking place in the distance was when Beerus went on to then continue, and as I hereby want for this to be a painful reminder to you, even as an ally to my universe, that there is no other god of destruction, whether they be friend or foe, that will be capable and strong enough to overshadow me. So what do you think? Goku then went on to turn towards the others by asking, you guys think that that'll do it for Lord Ligor out there? Because something tells me that this
Nah, that's too easy. That's too easy.
isn't going to be enough to win Beerus the day, with Vegeta responding, well, as much as I'd like to also think that it will, I want you to go and take a closer look, Kakarot, for I don't think that Lord Ligor is finished here with Lord Beerus, and his swelling aura is very evidence of that, with Ultra Beerus being shown having to then chime in, maybe now you can see that I wasn't going to be as easy to deal with on the battlefield as you may have assumed that I would be, God of Destruction, and now that you can see that for yourself firsthand, what do you say we go and end this battle of ours now that you can see that you are no match for me as you are, or do you still wish to somehow go and resume this contest here against me? Because if you do, then I highly doubt that you will be able to take much more of that without having me knock you out or possibly even destroy you, which is obviously something that I don't want to have to go and do. And so now what's it going to be? With Ligor being shown having to extend his arms from the smoke by then responding, I must admit that even I myself had never had expected to ever come to see the day where a pre-existing and fellow god of destruction would ever go as far as to push me this far in a duel before, and with Lord Tigron being the only exception in doing so, Ligor continues, you, Lord Beerus, are the first among the original gods to go as far as to achieve this, and for that, you have my deepest levels of respect, but while your power comes to me as a sudden and unexpected surprise, I was actually hoping that something like this would happen in meeting another god who can push me as far as you did. However, do not let this moment here deceive you in allowing for this to get to your head, Lord Beerus, for you have only seen but a small fraction of what I'm truly capable of, Ligor continues, as there is far more to my true power than what you've encountered thus far here against me, and so while I admire your will along with your warrior spirit to continue this contest here against me, you have hereby now left me with no other choice than to do what I must if I am in hopes of matching this power of yours, God of Destruction, for I want you now to go and prepare yourself for an overwhelming storm of power the likes of which you have never expected nor experienced come from another destroyer before, and while I can see that look deep within your eyes which tells me on how much you truly have changed since meeting you for the first time back on your home world, momentary victories are dangerous illusions, God of Destruction, Ligor continues, for they shouldn't have to go and be celebrated until you have seen them through until the very end, which our battle here has not reached, Lord Beerus. For even though I wasn't expecting to find myself in this current situation since I had already began preparations and further training with Lord Tigron, you should consider yourself extremely honored, Lord Beerus, for you are about to witness a side of me that only one other destroyer before you has ever seen, and while I recognize that you and I truly aren't so different when compared to one another, Ligor continues, our power on the other hand, when comparing where we currently are along with in seeing how our skills have shaped us into becoming who we are, couldn't be any more different, God of Destruction, with a curious Beerus having to then ask, is that so, Destroyer? And how exactly can you be so sure of yourself that even while exerting your full power, that you'd simply have what it takes to stand up against what I've become now? Because now I'm curious by what you mean, and so tell me, are you bluffing? Because what kind of strength could you hope to reach deep down and draw forward onto the surface here against me that you think that'll be enough to put me down and keep me down for good, Destroyer? Because judging based from what I can tell, you are either stalling for time or you've been hiding your true power from me since the very beginning, and so which one is is it? Well, if you believe that I am bluffing or simply stalling for time, Ligor responds, then you couldn't be further from the truth, because not only are you wrong in your assumptions about how far my true power is able to take me here against you, but if you truly believe that you are without a rival to this newly discovered power of yours, then you can think again, Lord Beerus, as you weren't the only god of destruction who had received the grace of training by the hands of an angel, to which as Ligor went on to erupt by powering up tremendously similar to Beerus. It was only just upon with a gigantic aura now beginning to emanate right before Beerus was when Beerus went on to then quickly chime back in. Wait a second, surely this can't mean what I think that it means now, can it? Because if what it was that he had just said is to be taken as truth, then no. But that's impossible, Beerus went on to then put his guard up by continuing. How was he able to go and achieve such a thing within such a short amount of time? Wait, yes, but of course, for the passage of time in his universe is vastly different when compared to the rest of us, and since the flow of time is accelerated here in this universe, Beerus continues, by the time those two newly appointed destroyers were put in their current positions, who knows on how much time had passed when compared to the amount of time spent in the other existing 18 universes. For now I see what he did. As a shocked Gohan then went on to question, whoa, there's just no way. What incredible power, and it doesn't seem like it's going to stop either. And so, what in the world is this? And why does this look similar to what Lord Beerus had undergone? With Whis responding, well, as surprising as it is for me to say this, but that's because it is. Now watch and observe very closely, Gohan. To which it was only then moments later, with Ligor's aura now beginning to dissipate as Ligor had now looked visually different, was when Ligor went on to address Beerus by responding, behold, mighty destroyer, for you weren't the only god of destruction who had decided to walk down this similar path. For as you can now begin to see, I had underwent a journey that was not so different from your own, Lord Beerus, as not only did I go as far as to train with my own angel in learning of the ways of achieving the impossible, but I too am also a graduate of Angel Ivalco's training, just like you. And if you honestly thought that you were the only one who was capable of amalgamating your destroyer nature with Ultra Instinct,
Hey, he let him know, like, look, I had you beat. I was 10 moves ahead of you the whole time.
Ligor continues, then think again, God of Destruction, because it was as I had told you, as there is more to my power than you can possibly begin to know of, and now you will go on to see it firsthand for yourself, so that way you may fully go on to understand. As a shocked Beerus went on to then respond, I can't believe what I'm seeing, so it's true. So this was what you've been hiding from us all along, now wasn't it? So this was what I've been sensing that was coming from deep within your very spirit. Which it was only shockingly enough then moments later as Hakaishin Ultra Ligor was then shown having to stand before Beerus was when Ligor then went on to respond, look closely and bear witness, for if this was what you've been hoping to see, then I welcome you to soak it all in, for this here is my all destroyer, and with you and I being the only two destroyers who are able to wield such power, Ultra Ligor continues, I can go as far as to assure you that our strength along with our skills couldn't be any more different. And now that the battlefield has been evened and with both of our true powers manifested onto the surface, let us go and resume exactly where we had left off and find out on just which one of us is truly the strongest warriors among the gods, Lord Beerus. As with everyone including Ultra Beerus being shown having to look on in absolute disbelief, it was only upon with Ligor being shown having to unveil his Ultra form was when Vegeta went on to then quickly respond, I can't believe that this is really happening right now. As first Lord Beerus shocks us all by revealing this newly formed fighting power of his, and now this newly crowned God of Destruction is also shown wielding it too, with Goku responding, wow, this is just amazing. amazing, you guys! As I knew that I had felt something very similar to my Ultra Instinct when I first had went and shaked Lord Ligor's hand after meeting him, but even then I couldn't quite tell on what it was about him that I felt that was off at the time, but now I see on why that was, with Gohan having to respond, "This is just incredible." And with both of them now at the absolute height of where they can be as gods of destruction, I'm not liking Lord Beerus's chances out there against that destroyer if this spills over, as Whis went on to then chime in. And it's fascinating, isn't it? But only time will tell on just what exactly we can expect to go and see from them as this goes and carries on. And so now because of this, we will just have to go and remain patient in the meantime, as Angel Rumi went on to address Tigron by responding, "So now, what do you personally believe, Lord Tigron? Since you're the only destroyer to know of Lord Ligor's true potential, what say you on who you believe will claim this victory?" With Tigron responding, "Well, even with my own bias aside, I do not see Universe 7's God of Destruction lasting much longer throughout this fight now that Lord Ligor has decided to go all out here against him, but while I do also maintain respect for Lord Beerus, I do not see him being the one who walks away from this fight as its winner." With Beerus responding, "Oh, but how? How are you able to go and reach this level of power, as I had only assumed no, for I was more than certain throughout my training that this kind of transformation was something that only I could have been able to achieve. And yet here you stand before me by wielding a power that I didn't think anyone else among our kind would have been able to reach alongside me. And so now because of this, I must know on the full extent of how this happened, God of Destruction. For I knew that I had sensed something very unusual about you the moment I first laid my eyes on you back on my planet after facing Lord Reno. But even then, I never would have imagined that it was going to be this. And so now tell me," Beerus continues, "was this power always something that you had held within you? Have you had this power the entire time, even long before having to be introduced to the rest of us after my battle against Lord Reno? Or was this power and form of yours something that you had only just recently went on to discover? Because I refuse to believe that this was something that you had just recently discovered, and so now answer me." With Ligor responding, "You are far more perceptive than I gave you credit for, Lord Beerus, but yes, for you are right. For I have had this power for quite some time, even long before I was told to come down into your universe to meet you alongside meeting the other gods. For I had went and kept this in secret, with Lord Tigron being the only other god of destruction who was ever knowing of the truest extent of what my power is capable of. And as I knew that there would come a time when revealing it would serve a much greater purpose, and now it has," Ligor continues. "For my universe here, just as you had suspected, it doesn't operate on the same frequency as the rest of the multiverse does, as the accelerated flow of time within my realm has allowed for me to go and train with Lord Tigron for a far more extensive period than most can even imagine that it would. And while you were honing your skills in not only training with your angel Whis, but had also volunteered to be trained by Angel Ivalco, I, on the other hand, had already done the same, but for a far longer time period than you can even begin to imagine, Lord Beerus. For my goal was to not only go and train with Lord Tigron after learning about what it was that I had told you prior, but I had also set out a secondary goal to try and teach him by guiding Lord Tigron along a similar path into also discovering an evolution that would best suit the attributes that Lord Tigron displays. With the shocked Beerus having to then respond, "Wait, so you had went and achieved such a power long before even touching down onto my planet when you did? And so I was right. Both of your universes do in fact possess an accelerated time scale than the rest of us do, and that was how both you and Lord Tigron were able to grow so powerful so quickly. For you had both been training ever since being appointed as newly crowned destroyers after all, now weren't you? And so that explains it," Beerus continues. "And what do you mean by what you said about helping Lord Tigron discover his own calling?" Beerus questions. "Can he not also go and harness these forms along with wielding these levels of power as we can?" With Ligor then being shown responding, "We indeed do, as you will find that time has passed by much quicker here once you have returned back into Universe 7. But to go and answer your question briefly before we engage, then the answer to your question on if Lord Tigron is able to wield similar feats of strength to our own, then you would be incorrect. For not every god of destruction is capable of combining their destructive nature with the powers of Ultra Instinct, as some gods of destruction are able to combine and incorporate different attributes more so than others, but needless to say, as I have now answered your questions, allow us to go and hereby continue with our battle, to which as Ligor and Beerus were then shown dashing towards one another was when Goku went on to then chime back in. Oh man, I sure do hope that Lord Beerus is going to be able to hold out against whatever Lord Ligor is about to go and let out against them out there, because, well, I'm just going to be honest here and say that they have got me all fired up just by simply having to go and watch them, as Vegeta went on to then respond, yeah, well, you better not even think about going and trying to call that one out to a fight here against us either, Kakarot. And so just go and think about it, because if we weren't able to do anything against that Tiger God, then just imagine as to how bad it'll be if we go and face this one. But then, it was only just upon mid-collision as both Ligor and Beerus went on to create a massive shockwave and nearly blowing both Goku and Vegeta away, was when Goku then went on to quickly chime back in. Actually, never mind all of that now, because we may not even go and make it out long enough to even call him out to one. Thanks for the save, Broly. But even then, back on over onto the battlefield, as Ligor was then shown having to be in complete control by having to inflict massive amounts of damage to Beerus, was when Ligor then went on to quickly respond, you'd be a fool to consider your power as being anything close that would be able to rival mine, God of Destruction, but I can now start to see on why you are often referred to as being as fearsome as you are in battle, but if placed into another tournament against the rest of us, or placed in a situation where you are up against unknown gods of destruction, it is your obligated duty to go and show those who stand across from you on why you are the god that you are spoken of out there to be. And while I had went and offered you a chance to call this contest off here against me, this will only continue to grow worse for you, because I don't plan on stopping until I have seen your all, Lord Beerus, as Beerus went on to then fire down multiple blasts by responding, and so then you better be prepared to fight me until the very end, because I'm not wavering in this contest until my power bests yours. But even then, despite with Beerus' best attempts of trying to blast Ligor, with Ligor being shown making his way towards Beerus and having to swipe away his attacks, was when Ligor then went on to quickly respond, then you are just as foolish as you are brave to even want to go ahead and try, Lord Beerus, but even then, while you try, I will only continue to drive your efforts deeper into the ground until I have made you realize that you just cannot compete with me. But then, it was only just upon with Ligor attempting to slash Beerus, with Beerus being shown creating multiple after images and getting out of harm's way, was when Beerus went on to then quickly respond, and how sure of yourself are you that you aren't going to be the one who is going to find themselves overwhelmed in this battle here, God of Destruction? For it was as I had said even long before our battle even began, that I will never allow for my efforts to be overshadowed, nor will I stand to have my power ever be rivaled by any destroyer ever again. And while you are a worthy contender and someone whom I didn't expect to use this much power against in battle, and if I am to go and uphold my name and my title, then I must be the one who walks away from this battle as its winner. And in order for that to go and happen, I'll make sure that it all ends with this. Beerus went on to then channel up a massive energy attack above him. For you may have been an unexpected yet extremely powerful challenger and the first god of destruction outside of a mortal warrior to push me into using more of my reserves like this. Let it now go and be known that this will be how this will all end, Lord Ligor. And thus, this ends right now. Beerus proceeds upon being shown launching his sphere of destruction down onto Ligor. And so now let's go and find out on just how powerful you truly are when faced up against my sphere of destruction. As I can only go and promise you that you are going to be driven into the ground, where there you will face your ultimate defeat, Beerus continues. But even then, it was only just as Ligor was then shown having to grab onto Beerus' blast before them being shown having to be locked in a stalemate, was when Ligor then went on to quickly respond, no, I don't think so, Lord Beerus. For you are in way over your head and are already making the same mistake that you went and made before by assuming a premature verdict here against me. Why won't my attack push through you? For I will not have you upstage my power like this without suffering the consequences behind them, and so why won't you go down? With Ligor then responding, I'll commend you for this effort, God of Destruction, for a sphere of destruction with this much raw power would have instantly consumed and vaporized anyone who dared to challenge its might. However, during this attempt of yours, while you may have not already noticed if you didn't by now, that you went and made a very critical mistake here against me. To which it was only surprisingly enough with Ligor being shown having to now reposition his body and holding the sphere of destruction now above him was when Ligor then went on to continue, because while your sphere of destruction holds immense power, you appear to lack the additional force and strength that is needed in order for it to fully overtake me. And while your frustrations are now slowly beginning to creep back into taking over your emotions and causing you to go and make many mistakes along the way, you should go and know better than anyone that a destroyer who ranks above the rest can never be taken lightly during the course of any battle that they find themselves in. And since you are now reminded, I am now about to go and demonstrate to you on why such things could never be the case with me. Because while you are no longer the one who is in control of your own mighty attack, let this go and be a painful reminder to you that no matter how powerful you think that you are, there will always be someone out there who is far stronger than you. To which, shockingly enough, it was only just then with Ultra Ligor then being shown having to completely rip apart Beerus' sphere of destruction was when Gohan then went on.
Hey, Lord Ligor, he different. He the Universe 20 God of Destruction. He different.
To chime back in. Are you kidding me? But there's just no way. There is just no way that we just saw that God of Destruction go and do that just now. With Vegeta responding, what in the world? That's not possible. What? But how did he just go and tear one of my strongest attacks apart like that? Ultra Beerus then went on to look down by questioning, for that shouldn't have been possible for him to go and do. And how was he also able to grab hold of my sphere like that and reposition himself to the point where he was able to tear it in half like that? No, he can't possibly be that much stronger than I am for him to be doing this to one of my most powerful attacks like that. And so I must try another way to win, because there must be something that I am overlooking here. As Ligor then went on to respond, that was a valiant effort in your attempts to try and wear me down, Destroyer, but no matter how much you try and no matter how hard you attempt to push yourself to summon a greater power to overshadow my own, you will never find the fortitude to compete with a storm of power as massive as mine, Lord Beerus. For you may have found the willpower to hold out against me so far, which is a testament to your resolve. However, willpower alone will not be enough to win you the day here against me, Ligor continues. For every moment that you spend standing across from me in opposition, will you only continue to descend deeper and deeper into the pits of the abyss, in knowing that deep down, while you slowly begin to grow weary and fatigued, I, on the other hand, still remain strong. To which, as Ligor was then shown dashing towards Beerus and attacking him, was when Goku then went on to chime back in. Well, although I will admit that even with Lord Beerus being at the height of his absolute power, even after managing to find a way to combine his God of Destruction powers with the principles of Ultra Instinct, I just can't help this feeling, and so I gotta know, Whis, based on what we're seeing out there, Goku continues, how strong do you really think that Lord Ligor is when compared to Lord Beerus? With Whis responding, well, I'm afraid the only answer that I can give you right now, Goku, based on the information gathered by both myself and Lord Beerus, is that I would say if the passage of time within Universe 20 flows faster than our own, then based on the amount of time that Lord Ligor would have had to garner enough experience within his present state, then I would have to go and say that Lord Ligor would be much stronger than Lord Beerus while both having to wield identical forms. However, there does in fact appear to be a clear distinction between the two if you haven't already happened to have noticed by now, because despite with both of them having to successfully fuse their destructive nature with the principles of Ultra Instinct, Whis continues, if you go and stop and have a little closer look, then you will see that Lord Ligor is far more balanced, Whis says, for his movements appear to be much sharper and his discipline more refined, while Lord Beerus, on the other hand, is unfortunately allowing for his frustrations to take hold of his direction throughout the course of this battle, and it's not something that Lord Beerus was prepared for either, I'm afraid. And while I do still hope that there is some kind of window for Lord Beerus to exploit here against Lord Ligor in order for him to capture this victory, Whis continues, and I'm afraid to say that if this continues to go the way that it currently is, then unfortunately I think that it would be safe to say that there will be nothing that Lord Beerus will be able to do out there against what Lord Ligor has become in order for him to claim the victory over him by the very end of all of this, to which it was only then in the meantime as Ligor was then shown having to drive Beerus down onto the ground by smashing his body onto the pavement below, was when Ligor then went on to respond, "You have endured far more punishment than most could ever even go as far as to dream of enduring, Lord Beerus, but I want you to go and listen very carefully, for you have proven yourself to be more than what I had expected, but while I do not wish to go and harm you any more than I already have," Ligor continues, "I ask for you to go and simply stay down while you still can, and I don't say this out of arrogance towards you, but I say this as more of a warning, for if you only continue to rise in this battle here against me, the harsher the consequences will become, Lord Beerus, for this is not something that I want to go and do, but if you force my hand in this situation, then I will do it without hesitation," Ligor continues, "and so now what do you say, God of Destruction? For it's as I said, there is no shame in admitting when you have been beaten so that you can live and go and fight another day, and so now what is your answer?" With Ultra Beerus responding, You can go and do your worst, for I will not back down here against you, no matter what it is that you go and try to do to me. So let go of me so that I can show you. To which it was only fortunately enough for Beerus, with Ligor being shown having to punch his way down onto the ground, with Beerus being shown vanishing and getting behind Ligor, was when Ligor then went on to quickly respond, "Then if this is going to be how you wish to end things between us, then I will not deny you of your destiny, but while we both know that you are without reach in beating me as you are without a doubt one of the most dedicated and driven gods of destruction that I have ever seen," Ligor continues, "for I think that I am finally now starting to understand on why you are the way you are, but make no mistake about what it is that is about to happen here between us, Lord Beerus, because while you are still able to fight and while you are still able to witness the force of nature that I bring upon having to battle against my opponents, let our next engagement here between us be our last, Lord Beerus." As with both destroyers having to lay everything on the line and simply having to find out as to which destroyer between them is in fact the stronger god of destruction, was when Goku went on to then chime back in, "Hey, so what do you think, Vegeta? Since Lord Beerus still appears to want to keep going out there against Lord Ligor, and how long do you think that this is going to continue to go before one of them emerges as the winner of this battle?" With Vegeta responding, "Well, it's hard for us to say for sure, especially with Lord Beerus having reached the heights of power that he recently did alongside with Gohan and Broly, but what's even more notable is how both you and I are dead last when compared to what it was that we had seen and experienced here today, and so that much should be more than alarming to you, especially if we hope to catch up and surpass them, and so for all it's worth, we should go and take notice of what we've seen and the battles that we have experienced," Vegeta continues, "because if anything, this is very telling of where we stand, and if we wish to go and catch up in order for us to compete against the likes of any of them, especially against both of these gods of destruction out there, then as soon as we go and get back into our world, we must start training immediately, Kakarot." With Goku responding, "Well, you're not really wrong here, because that's actually the first thing that I also intend on doing once we get back, but man, even despite with Lord Beerus being as strong as he currently is, seeing him struggle out there against Lord Ligor like this has really gotten me worried out there for him." To which it was only interestingly enough within that moment as Ligor was then shown having to grab onto Beerus' arm before shown having to slam his body down onto the ground, was when Ligor then went on to respond, "Now you listen here, God of Destruction. destruction, for you may have endured what I have delivered onto you thus far, but you and I both know that you will not go as far as to outlast me for much longer here, God of Destruction. And while I doubt that even with your hardened body will it hold out here against my onslaught for much longer, Ligor continues, I ask you again to consider your position here against me, for you will not win, which is why it is best for you just to stay down. For you can already see that despite what it is that you do, and no matter how hard you attempt to fight here against me, Ligor continues upon being shown having to throw Beerus on over into the distance, you will only manage to go and take yourself so far here against me, which is why it would be wise for you just to go and give up now before this continues to grow worse for you, God of Destruction. Oh, I will never go and give into this battle, especially if I've already gotten this far here against you. Beerus went on to then stick his arm out by responding, and so, while I grow very annoyed at the fact that I can't seem to break through your guard, maybe if I go and start to erase certain body parts from you, will it only go as far as to favor me in this battle? But then, it was only just before Beerus had the opportunity to go as far as to Hakai any one of Ligor's limbs was when Ligor went on to then shoot projections from his eyes by responding, as if I would be foolish enough to allow for you to go and remove any one of my body parts in the time for you to go and try to gain any sort of leverage here against me would be a mistake. Whoa, wait, was Lord Beerus really just about to go and Hakai one of Lord Ligor's body parts just to go and gain leverage against him in this battle out there, Goku questions, with Whis responding, well, knowing Lord Beerus, it really wouldn't go as far as to surprise me in seeing him having to go and do what he needs to do in order to lay claim over his opponent during a battle, and as you should go as far as to know firsthand better than anyone for yourself, Goku, but it would only appear as though with how fast Lord Ligor appears to be responding out there in battle against Lord Beerus, and I fear that it'll only continue to get worse for Lord Beerus out there, and unless he is able to bypass Lord Ligor's methods of battle, Whis continues, well then the beating will only continue to grow worse for him, I'm afraid, with Gohan responding, so do you think that is because of how much power Lord Beerus had to be shown exerting just to simply stand a chance against him, Whis? Because it almost looks like Lord Beerus is doing what he had went and done against me when I went and first had to battle him, and so do you think that maybe perhaps this is because he's completely worn out there against him, with Whis responding, well, what I will say is that it's more than likely that he has, but Lord Beerus is starting to give into his anger out there against Lord Ligor rather than having to remain calm, and that is simply because if you go and take a little closer look and seeing as to how Lord Ligor is going about this battle, then you will go as far as to see that he appears to be doing exactly as Lord Beerus ought to be shown having to do out there against him, but I'm also sure that since Lord Beerus is more than likely feeling the effects of this battle out here against Lord Ligor, could it only go as far as to explain as to why he is starting to lose his composure out there against him, with Ligor being shown having to look down at Beerus by responding, and so now give it up, Destroyer, for I do not wish to continue to go and harm you any more than I need to in order to make you walk away, and so now what's it going to be? And as the choice itself should be more than obvious to you by now on what it is that you should go and do, as Beerus went on to then quickly turn his head by then firing off a blast and responding, over my dead body I will, God of Destruction, for you may have gotten the better of me now, but just like you had pointed out to me earlier, you should go and take your own advice and not assume victory until you've truly beaten me, which you won't, Destroyer. And while I know there must be something that I can do in order to create the opening that I need to finally put you where you rightfully belong, Beerus continues, I'm not going to stop looking for it until I've made sure to see you crumble beneath my feet as a result of it. And if that means having to go and hit you with everything that I have over and over and over and over again, then that is exactly what I'm going to go and do, Beerus went on to then formulate a massive sphere of destruction above him, and no matter how powerful you are and no matter how durable that body of yours is, you will not be strong enough to endure much more of these, even if you try to go and rip them apart again, because if you do, then I'll just go and continue to launch more and more of these down upon you until you are no longer able to continue, Destroyer. But then, it was shockingly enough through the smoke as Ligor went on to formulate 3 gigantic spheres of destruction above his head, only calling them different in the meantime, was when Ligor then went on to quickly respond, then if this is how you wish to go about this battle here against me, then allow for me to go and respond in kind, God of Destruction, for I will go and make sure that my Terra Force attack humbles you after tearing through your sphere of destruction. Oh, nonsense, Beerus responds responds upon being shown throwing his spear directly at Ligor. But if you insist, then let us go and find out if they can. For this battle ends right now, as I will go and put you in your place and establish myself as proving to you on why I am the strongest god of destruction among them all. Then so be it, god of destruction. Ligor then went on to fire his attacks directly at Beerus's. Then so now I want you to watch as even your best attempts against me prove to have been meaningless. To which, as both collisions were then shown having to happen, it would only now appear as though it is Beerus who is the one that is struggling in maintaining this battle against Ligor, as Beerus went on to then struggle by responding, "Oh, you've got to be joking, and the amount of force that he's driving into my attack, I'm unable to do anything to go and push those blasts of his back. I just can't allow for this to be on how this is all going to end, because I might be losing ground, but my spirit is far from broken. As I have seen what the abyss is like when you stare directly into it, and if I wasn't scared of what I came face to face with then, god of destruction, then you can go and think twice if you think that I'll be scared of this one too," Beerus continues. "So, while I have the strength to hold you here at bay, you will have to go as far as to destroy me if you ever hope to see me submit to another god of destruction, Lord Ligor. And so as long as I remain in this battle here against you, this battle here is far from over. Do you understand?" With Ligor responding, "Interesting, for even when faced against such overwhelming might, you still refuse to stand down here against me. How truly fascinating. A noble act, Lord Beerus, but what you fail to understand is that our fight here between us is already over." To which it was only in a shocking fashion as Ligor's attacks went on to combine within themselves and completely having to overtake and swallow up Beerus' sphere of destruction was when Vegeta went on to then respond, "What? So, but this is just unbelievable. For not only was that destroyer able to completely shatter through Lord Beerus' attack, but they've also went as far as to combine within themselves all into one massive attack too. Oh, damn him," Beerus responds upon being shown putting his guard up. "I was too careless to have allowed for him to get this far here against me, but even now, I won't let this be on how I will be remembered against him, for I just have to continue to try no matter what." To which it was only seconds later, with a gigantic nuclear explosion then shown having to take place in nearly swallowing up the entire planet, was when Goku went on to then chime back in, Hold on you guys, because I don't think that this is going to end very well for us if we aren't careful. Whis, do you think that Lord Beerus is going to be okay?" With Whis then responding, "Well, while the intensity of that attack is indeed alarming, and while Lord Beerus is undoubtedly in a very critical situation and having no other choice than to go and take those attacks head on the way he did, and I must go as far as to say that the nature of this overall battle was even something that I couldn't fully foresee, and as the power which Lord Ligor had wielded to overtake Lord Beerus' attack was not only a very calculated one, but it was also a very rigorous one on top of it all, which does raise a lot of concern here. However, and I can't help but feel as though Lord Ligor is surgically applying pressure and knowing exactly how much power to exert here against Lord Beerus, while also going as far as to hold back just enough power in having to avoid completely destroying Lord Beerus along the way. And as I will admit that it is a style that may be proving to push Lord Beerus to his absolute limits, and if anything based on what I'm seeing come from him, then I do firmly believe that it would be safe to say that Lord Ligor's restraints could even be more dangerous than his raw power itself, and ultimately having his strategy reveal a much deeper understanding of both Lord Beerus' strengths and vulnerabilities, which could also explain as to why Lord Ligor was able to push past them, it seems. And so while I don't believe that Lord Beerus had been destroyed throughout this entire contest, Whis continues, and I do however fear that this contest between them just in fact might be over, but we will wait and see. But then, it was only just within that very moment as Ultra Beerus was then shown having to emerge the smoke that was surrounding him and having to be shown extremely battle damaged, was when Ultra Beerus went on to then respond, That was far more than I had originally expected for it to be, but in the end, while my body feels as though it's about to break down on me, and while the pain that I feel coursing throughout my body is one of the most painful that I've ever felt, When this is all said and done, it was as I had told you prior, for I still stand, as I would rather endure every ounce of agony that I feel now than to ever go and submit myself to another god of destruction ever again, Beerus continues. And if that means that I'll be going down despite my efforts here against you, then I'll fight by using every shred of power that I have left to go and make sure that I go and take a piece of you with me, God of Destruction. And so now go ahead. Don't be afraid of what you see. Go ahead and hit me with everything you have. And let's see if you can go and finish the job, Destroyer. For if this battle against you is destined to be my last, then so be it. But I will not surrender, for that time of having me go and do so is over, Beerus went on to then crash on down by responding. And so now go ahead. What's holding you back? Do it. Come at me and let's see what you're made of. Let's see if you really have what it takes to go and make the right call. Oh, damn him. My body doesn't have the strength to go and hold myself together here, for he has went and completely wore me down. Oh, I wasn't ready for another god of destruction to wield a higher level of power while harboring a similar form like this. For if I only had known prior, then I could have went and been ready to have faced him, even if he went and amalgamated his powers like I have. And so I must go and try to find another way here. You know, at first I couldn't quite understand on why you wouldn't go and take my offer, Ligor went on to then respond, especially despite me having to be shown giving you multiple opportunities to go and walk away. But I can now start to see as to why that is, and while it doesn't come as a surprise to me that you'd rather die than submit yourself here against me in this battle, in the end, I just want you to go and know that it was you, Lord Beerus, who had left me with no other choice than to go and do what I needed to go and do here, Ligor says. For I didn't go and expect to have things turn out the way they did, and while I kept telling you that I did not wish to inflict further harm upon you, you instead went and ignored my concerns and proceeded to continue anyways, and because of your actions, you have now forced my hand into doing what I did not imagine that I would have to go and do here against you, God of Destruction, for you had went and left me with no other choice here, and as such, Ligor says, I instead hereby offer you my hand in the name of upholding our honor, for this battle is yours, Lord Beerus. You win, Ligor says, for this battle has shown me everything that I needed to go and know about you, and I have no desire to turn this into a death match, and so in the end, I yield this victory over to you, not because you are weak, Ligor continues, but because I respect the fight that you have given me, and so let this mark the end of our conflict, as I hereby offer you my hand as a sign of my respect, with the shocked Beerus having to then respond, what? But I don't understand, because while it's clear to us both that you stand as the stronger god of destruction between us, why would you go and instead yield to me like this? What do you stand to gain by not finishing me off, but instead grant me victory over you like this? Well, the answer is simple, Ligor responds, for I had promised myself that I would go and put an end to this contest once I had witnessed the full extent of your amalgamated power, and now that I was able to experience the full force of your ultra powers firsthand, I have decided to go and keep my promise and call this battle within your favor, God of Destruction, for it also had become clear to me throughout the course of our battle that you were never truly going to back down, nor were you willing to quit here against me, and while even despite the odds that were shown being stacked against your favor here, I knew that the only way that I was going to win would have been to have completely destroyed you, Lord Beerus. And so because of this, while I knew that you would go and fight until the very end, even if it meant having to risk your own destruction, I in fact respect you far too much to go as far as to allow for that to happen, Lord Beerus. And while I find no shame in having to yield to you, Ligor continues, I believe that there there is much more that we can go and learn from one another without having to turn this into a death match here between us. And so because of this, thank you for giving me a good and honorable fight, Destroyer, as not many could, and so I hereby offer you my hand not only as a fellow Destroyer who understands the full extent of your strength, as well as the passion that you wield behind having to use it here against me, but also as a fellow god who refuses to give in to their opponents, even when having to face off against a power that is far greater than their own, Ligor says. For you in fact have my greatest form of respect for giving me a battle that was truly worthy of a god. As Beerus went on to then look up by responding, "Oh, now I see, for you are almost similar to that Saiyan mortal Goku of mine in the way you offer your mercy and compassion to your enemies, but even now, the respect that I hereby have for you is also indeed very mutual." As a shocked Vegeta and Goku then went on to quickly respond, He's giving the fight over to Lord Beerus out of respect for him? And so then he knew that the only other way that he was going to get Lord Beerus to back down here against him was if he was willing to go all out and destroy him along the way. Yeah, I think you're right, Vegeta, and since it didn't look like that was what Lord Ligor wanted to go and do, even though he was stronger than Lord Beerus, Goku says, he still went ahead and decided to go and yield to him by giving him the fight rather than destroying him as a result of it. To which it was only just upon with Beerus being shown having to be helped up by Ligor as both of them went on to then shake hands was when Beerus then went on to respond, "You know, while yielding a victory to me out of respect was something that I wouldn't have anticipated to come from such a powerful and fearsome destroyer such as yourself, and I will go as far as to acknowledge that you had me beat, but while I respect you for the decision that you have made here against me," Beerus says, "and I don't intend to let this defeat, despite you yielding this battle within my favor, stand without challenging it again for next time, and I in fact intend to meet you with an even greater force that'll turn the tables within my favor, God of Destruction. That much I can promise." With Ligor responding, "Well, be that as it may, I will be more than honored to battle here against you again one day, Lord Beerus, as I am not only happy to call you an ally for whatever the future has in store for us, but I am hereby also proud to call you our friend. And while there is nothing left here for neither you or your mortal warriors to prove here against myself and Lord Tigron," Ligor continues, "what do you say we go and take this time to heal our bodies and talk things over, so that way you may all gain a better understanding of what we know, Lord Beerus?" With Beerus being shown having to shake Ligor's hand by responding, "Well, very well then, God of Destruction, but I want you to go and fill us all in with everything that the two of you were made aware of, and nothing less. So would you both agree?" With Ligor responding, "Well, from one ally to another, you have my word that we will go and do just that, Lord Beerus." As a little while later, after everyone was then shown having to be finally healed, it was only just before everyone was then shown having to go and take their leave was when Beerus went on to then chime back in by responding, "Well, now that everything here has been settled, and since we now understand as to what it was that we wanted to know, it's time for us to all go home, Whis." With Ligor responding, "Well, very well then, for it shall be, and while each of you head back into your own respective worlds, let us go and bid our farewell for now. And so now, thank you for standing alongside me and for assisting me and helping me get down to the bottom of what it was that we had suspected," Lord Tigron, Ligor says, "and as I also expect for our training to resume in the coming days, and so that way we may go and continue to hone our powers for whatever may lie in store for us in the future. And so because of everything, thank you for standing with me." With Tigron responding, "And I look forward to our battle, for I couldn't have asked for a more noble god to stand alongside with than you, Lord Ligor, and as I will go and make sure to be back here and resume as to where we had left off in a few days." As Beerus went on to then shake Tigron's hand by then responding, "You are indeed quite the powerhouse, and to witness your power for myself along with seeing how you were able to control your destruction with such precision, and it was an honor to have stood alongside you, Lord Tigron." With Tigron being shown shaking Beerus' hand back by responding, "And I second that with you, for the feeling is mutual here between us, Lord Beerus, for it was my honor, as I will be seeing both you and the other destroyers very soon. As Goku then went on to quickly interrupt by responding, hey, so, I hope that there aren't any hard feelings here between us, Lord Tigron. Goku went on to then wave by responding, and I do really hope that you know that our intentions by having to fight against you were all for the best, and so we hope that you'll understand and we'll see each other again really soon one day, with Tigron responding, well, I know that you mortals had went and meant good by waging your battle here against me, and so I do not hold anything personal against the two of you, but I do want you both to know this. For the next time that we go and meet, and we will all come to meet again one day, the two of you better be ready for another battle here against me, because one way or another, no matter how it's done or which one of you it'll be, I do indeed intend to fight you once again, for you two are special to say the least, and so I do hope that for your sake you go and follow through with your promise for the next time we meet, Saiyans, for it was an honor to have faced you, and so until we meet again soon. As Ligor went on to then chime back in, well, if there's one thing that I will say that I am fairly certain about, it's that this will not be the last time that the two of you will have the chance in seeing us again, Ligor says, as I'm sure that Lord Tigron also shares a similar opinion on you as well, for there will come a time where I'm sure that we will all be called together once again one day, but for now, while we go and wait for that time to come, there is still much that needs to be done along the way, Ligor continues, for there are many changes that need to be made and many obstacles that need to be completed, but while you work on these things that call for your improvement, I have no doubt that I will be expecting to see you all grow into becoming far more powerful than how you are now, and while the cosmos beyond our own is but a vast and unpredictable place that is filled with challenges that none of us can foresee, as we go and part ways for now, I cannot say for certain on what the future may hold for any of us along the way, but if there is one thing that I do know, Ligor continues, it's that no matter what lies ahead and no matter how dire or insurmountable it may seem, I am confident that we will rise above the fire in order for us to go and meet it, for your universe has been forged by warriors who understand the meaning of struggle, and after seeing the fruits of your training for myself, along with witnessing the two of you bear the power of the gods for yourselves, I am more than reassured that we will not fall along the way. But it was only interestingly enough all the while in the meantime elsewhere within a very faraway place was where a mysterious
Real quickly, let's break down the fight. Hey, these new gods of destruction are very powerful. Shout out to Lord Ligor, shout out to Lord Tigron from universes 19 and 20. The Saiyan stepped up to the challenge. They sparred. They got the smoke. Goku and Vegeta fell short. Broly and Gohan, on the other hand, they stepped up to the plate. Beerus wound up getting a new transformation. It's a lot that went on within this whole entire arc. This just the two new gods. We ain't even get into the rest of the guys. We'll be sitting here 3 days, trying to go through all of that, sort everything out. But epic fights, they seen it through. Now we about to see how this ends, how they wanna, where we going from here.
mysterious and sinister group of unknown gods of destruction happened to have been overseeing the entirety of what was shown taking place, as one of these gods of destruction that went by the name of Arachnivore went on to then respond, so the two newly appointed gods of destruction have already been alerted to our existence now, have they? Interesting, and with those mortal vermin from the 7th now also catching on as to what those destroyers have learned from their angels, we cannot go and run the risk of having our objectives be compromised if they begin to expand their curiosity further, but even now, I cannot wait to go and sink my teeth into their flesh and draw upon their blood until there is nothing left of them, for I could almost even go as far as to taste it. But even now, after going as far as to see what we just saw, those three destroyers, the one who governed Universe 7, Universe 19, and Universe 20, who just so happened to go by Beerus, Tigron, and Ligor, are the the ones to mostly watch out for, Arachnivore continues. And while those recently resurrected gods of destruction are also ones to pay very close attention to, we should have no problem in going as far as to take them all down as well, as another mysterious god of destruction that went by the name of Turlon went on to then respond, I agree, and so you can go as far as to leave more of the bigger destroyers such as Primos, Reno, and Grizzlor for me and Triceros to go and take care of in the meantime, and so that to us won't be much of a problem, as another god of destruction that went by the name of Megalodor went on to then respond, well, even if they somehow know of our existence, I doubt that they will be able to find a way to go and take action, especially if they don't know as to where we all currently are, and so that gives us time. Yes, and time is something that they do not have at the moment, but what say you, Kano? Arachnivore then went on to respond, as Kano went on to then chime in, well, I say we just go and descend upon them all now and tear them all apart while they're vulnerable, and while we can go and start by shredding those mortal warriors as a warm-up, I call by getting my hands on Universe 7's destroyer Beerus first. And so you can go and leave him all for me while the rest of you go and handle the other gods in the meantime, as the destroyer Megalodor went on to reveal himself by responding, hold steady, my brethrens, for there is no need for us to rush, and so let them go and celebrate these final moments of their fragile peace while they still can, for we will remain patient in lurking within the shadows and observing, learning, and absorbing the knowledge of their weaknesses as they blissfully remain completely unaware of what lies ahead. For we are a force which has been forged in silence, and even if they suspect of our existence to be true, then we will go and allow for them to wonder until we are given the order once the great king goes and gives us his word, Megalodor continues, as only then will we go and descend upon them like an endless darkness that no light, no matter how bright, can ever pierce. And so while we watch from across the Omniverse, let them think that they are safe while they still can, for the great king's command will be our signal, and so in the meantime, just relax, for soon enough it'll be our time to play, as it was only right then and there now during that moment where the Beyond Dragon Ball Super story of the resurrected fallen gods of destruction, the legendary god saga, manga chapter number 9 finale then comes to a close.
Well, actually, I'll go ahead and take it from here, as I do want to go as far as to address
Super Saiyan 4 will appear in Dragon Ball
Patreon community that about to happen coming up next. So we hope that you all enjoyed today's video. And before you leave, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up by smashing that like button on your way out, as well as also subscribing to Unreal Ink Gaming's channel for tons of new Dragon Ball content. So with that, we thank you all so much for watching, as we'll be seeing you all again for the next one.
We was moving too fast, weren't we? But now look, man. We got new gods. We got new gods. They seem to be very evil. As y'all just seen, though, not all gods are evil. Most of them really got their own agendas, but these seem like they come from a different side and they got plans. But yeah, that was the entire resurrected fallen gods of destruction. Legendary story arc right there, man. That was just universe 19 and 20 gods, so that wasn't all of the gods. But if y'all want to tap in with that, go follow, go subscribe to Unreal Gaming. Shout out to Unreal Gaming, Unreal TV, Unreal. I put the IG and all the links in the description. But yeah, man, fire. On to the next. We out.